better than this. Yo, Nick, what up, man?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's up, fam?
Right.
Yo, what up, man?
Great.
Good, man.
You on, right, Jules?
I can see y'all. I don't know if I'm here. Y'all see me?
It's just your voice, bro.
I went from the app and I put it in manually.
All right, I know what I gotta do. Stay right there, Jules. All right, go ahead. You should be in right now. There you go.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
What's up, Jules?
It's coming back. It's coming back. No, you know what it is when they come in like that. I gotta allow them to talk. Then I gotta promote everybody to panelists. Now Greg Mitchell should be coming in. There you go. There go Greg.
Got the background.
Oh, you fancy, Doc, with the background, Reverend.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a minute, Doc.
Yo, it's like TBN Network or something.
Yeah, I just got a blank wall, man. I ain't got no trophies or nothing like that, man.
Wow.
So somebody got to walk Stan through this right, man. He texted me at the same time.
Tell Stanley to come back in. I got him because he was in. Tell him to do what he did before, and I'll connect him. I got him.
Jules just
Here
bounced.
goes Teddy. Boom. Got Teddy.
I bounced. Now I'm here.
All right.
Teddy should be coming in now.
Jules, you in LA?
Yeah.
Where Teddy at? All right, there go Ted. All right. We're gonna go ahead.
Hold on. Let me hit stand up real quick. Hold on. So Stan is in. He said he could see us. So Jay, check that out. He said he could see us.
Okay.
And it's 12 participants, but it's only 11 of us on screen.
Okay. All right. I got him right here.
All right. I think he's about to do his thing. All right.
All right. Cool. All right. So that should be Stan coming in. Now we can go live.
You can go live on the fly? I thought you had to do it from the gate.
No, I could do it once we get in.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for Stan to come on.
I'm on now. Can you see? You can see me?
It's about the video about to come on. Here you go.
It's a different kind of zoom right here. You see it?
It's coming. I'm gonna go ahead and go live while Stanley coming in.
What up?
Stanley Brown, where's he at?
Greg Mitchell, you in Paris?
Yo, this is
don't start, man.
This is VA background, man. Come on, man.
Jules, don't start, please.
Start it up. They gotta be regular, man. They gotta be real regular. Start it up.
Where Brown at? Is Brown in there yet?
Can you see me?
He in the room, but he ain't on the screen.
I just made him a panelist. I don't know why.
A panelist.
Okay.
I see my name. Oh, I think it says start video. I see it, Hen.
There you go.
There you
Okay.
go.
What up,
All right.
guys?
What's up, man?
What's Stan?
Dude,
What up? What up, Brown?
Stan the man.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yep.
We getting ready to go live.
Okay.
Let me just get this on Facebook.
Where's Jerry?
Yeah.
Everybody hit G up.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Alert from Logic Pro X.
This thing is slow as all out there. So while we loading up, Brown and y'all just came in. Basically, what we're gonna just talk about is the history of the choir, and however the conversation goes from there. And then when we get to the end, when we get ready to log off, we're just gonna do a tribute to Jeff and Melvin.
What, we singing or something?
Who said that?
Yeah, Stanley's gonna put us in A flat, the choir key, and we're gonna do what we do. We're gonna do what we do. The band. All right, here we go.
Yo, this tech got a little Teddy Riley on it.
Get easy, buddy. Take it easy.
Yep. Yep.
Keep
Yep.
it clean.
Yep. Yep.
It ain't me, man. It's me at all. Oh, God. All right, here we go. All right. That's the other thing too, guys. When you're not
You
talking,
gotta keep that volume down.
you gotta mute your mic.
If you're on Facebook Live, you gotta keep that muted.
Yo,
Yeah.
Specs, what up, man?
All right, we live, fellas.
What up? Let's talk about something. I keep that
All
muted.
right. Thank everybody for tuning
Specs,
in.
what up?
We apologize for the lateness of the. All right, we live of the start of the live, but we here now. Yeah, we got
What up?
we apologize for the lateness of the. All right, we live of the start of the live, but we here now. In the room, yeah, we got
What up?
we apologize for the lateness of the. All right, we live of the start of the live. We
There's
here
a Tech
now.
Riley spirit going on, bro.
In the room,
If you gotta mute your Facebook Live.
in the room, we got. We apologize for the lateness of the. All right, we live of the start of the live. We here
There's a Tech
now.
Riley spirit going on, bro.
In the
Teddy
room,
Riley.
You gotta mute your Facebook Live. Yo, Teddy,
Teddy.
you gotta somebody pray this Teddy Riley spirit out of this meeting.
Teddy Riley.
Yo, if I hear you say, yo, Teddy,
Teddy.
you gotta pray this
Teddy. Teddy.
If I hear you say we live one more time, I'm gonna go crazy.
Yo, I just need somebody to dance behind Jay right now.
Oh my
yo,
I don't get it.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Can y'all hear me?
Oh yes.
Yo, my stomach hurts.
Oh my goodness.
Can y'all hear me?
Yo, my stomach is killing me, man.
All right.
Oh.
Yo, my stomach hurts.
Oh.
Can y'all hear me? All right, so let's get started. Stanley Brown.
What's up? Can you hear me?
You know, hold on. Somebody got to turn they Facebook
You
live
gotta
off.
mute your
That's what it is.
Facebook live. Everybody mute
Mute your
your
mic.
Facebook live. Mute it. That's it. That has to be muted. You can't listen to your voice. There's no reason for us to hear that echo right now.
There it goes. It's gone.
Is Teddy Riley gone now? All right, let's go. Jason, try it again. You can't listen to your voice.
All right, it's going now. All right. Yes. Stanley Brown.
Hey.
All right. Jason, are you frozen over there?
Oh my.
What happened? Nah, he's frozen.
Yo, you can't zoom from a Boost Mobile.
Oh my goodness gracious, bro. He gotta call back into his own Zoom. Yeah, I hope y'all getting the
Oh,
closed out, Nate. You gotta talk back in.
bye, Jay.
Somebody text him. You could text him right away.
Yo, you can leave as a host. You can leave.
Yeah.
Oh,
And somebody else become the host, yo.
but he froze. His screen froze.
Yo, but what page is it streaming on, yo?
I don't know.
Good evening, everybody. You've reached Restoration Tabernacle. I am your host. The host has left. The host has left the building.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Jules Bartholomew. Oh.
What we're gonna do is try this again tomorrow.
No. I don't think so. Just text Jason in out that group chat and say where you at. I don't know what's going on. Might be just a bad connection because my joint was kind of freezing too.
I think the issue is you can't watch the live.
Right.
Nah, we watched it yesterday when we was on with Goucher and Roof and Stephen Huff. We watched it, but we had it muted. It was not a problem. We didn't have a problem.
Praise the Lord.
You back. Okay.
Mr. Teddy Riley.
All right. I know y'all was killing me, but it's all right.
Yo, Jay, where's it hosting that? I mean, where's it on Facebook?
It's on my page.
Okay.
All right. So what happened?
So let's just start, Jay. Let's go ahead.
All right. So Stanley, is Stanley still on?
Yes.
All right. So Brown, being that you are one of the main guys that started from the beginning, you and Bishop actually started the choir. What was the vision when you and Bishop started Love Fellowship?
Basically, it was at a time in New York when really nothing was happening. Prior to that, you had Pastor Timothy Wright, Bishop Albert Jameson, Triborough Mass Choir. Those were like the main choirs in New York City. And it was really, really, really nothing happening as far as like the whole young adult scene. So we just felt like it was a good time to just start something that would cater to maybe a younger demographic.
Everybody got to mute your phone. You're talking.
Jay, you on here twice.
That's me. Okay. All right. That should. All right. We good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
Basically, just something to start a younger demographic, and we kind of had this idea that we would probably start something because originally the intent was to try to convince Bishop Moles to open up a church in Brooklyn. So we figured we were just going to start a choir and create a little buzz, and that's when the Sunday night services started. And it was really with hopes of convincing Bishop Moles to come to New York. But he just refused to, and he just kind of just like, no, Bishop Walker, he's like, nah, that's your assignment, and you guys need to start something. So it just kind of spiraled into a choir, that was just really the consideration was to start something for young people and just to sing and just to have a good time because everybody was musically inclined. You had Monique and Bishop Walker, and you had Kirby. I mean, just a crew of people who were just hanging out all the time. But really, what happened was that same crew of people started coming to Connecticut, to Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Okay.
Following us because at the time, me and Bishop Walker we were working with Prayer Tabernacle, Bishop Moles Church, and over the youth choir. And then before you knew it, on that Metro North, it went from me and Bishop Walker to Kirby and to the Lynette and to John, Fuller. And then it just started growing and growing and growing. And the next thing you knew, we had 12, 10, 15 people, on the train coming from Bridgeport, Connecticut on the Metro North every fourth Sunday. And it just kind of just seemed like a natural progression. And next thing you know, it was.
Did you ever think it would get as big as it has gotten? Because it went from a choir, in my opinion, to like a movement. Did you guys think it would be what it is right now? If Stan can't answer that, Eddie, you still there?
He's back. Stanley
Okay.
back.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Did you think it would? Did you guys think it would turn into what it's become like mammoth? It's bigger than a choir. It's a movement. Did you and Bishop like have initial conversations thinking that it was going to be like?
No, we really didn't have any idea. Because actually the goal was just to kind of, prior to all of that, before Love Fellowship, me and Bishop Walker would travel with Bishop Moles on his revivals. And he would allow me and Bishop Walker to work with the choirs in that church. Bishop Robert Evans in Baltimore, Maryland, they had something called it was like an in-house conference revival that they had with Bishop Wortham and some other churches that would come together and working with Danny Evans, and we just started working with the choir. So every Friday night of the revival, we would do a couple of songs or whatever with the churches in that community in that area that were involved in that little congregation or network of churches, and then it just kind of took a natural progression. But even prior to that, like somewhere early in the 80s, when Bishop Moles would take us to the Thomas Dorsey Convention, and that's when we started. That's when the chemistry really started. When we were working with Thomas at the Thomas Dorsey Conference, they would allow us to teach a song to the youth, and that's where we actually met Donald Lawrence, actually. And then we were just kind of teaching the choirs, and so it went on way before the beginning of Love Fellowship. We were together already doing conferences and workshops and traveling with Bishop Moles and the Thomas Dorsey Convention. But then I can even rewind and go further, go back before that. We started, me and Bishop Walker would on Saturday nights look for programs to go to. And he would sing and I would play. Because we both were like fans of DJ Rogers. So he would just sing. We would take DJ Rogers songs, even before I'll Make It, and just turn them into they were his. It became his set. He would rearrange them, and we would make them really, really gospel songs, and it just kind of spiraled to the next thing. So then there was another guy, Kevin Cooper, at the time, Shabani Cooper's brother, who was hanging out with us. So it would be me, Bishop Walker, and Kevin Cooper, and we literally would go to churches. There was a guy who always had programs. Craig, his name was Reggie. What was his name back in the days?
Reggie Bailey.
Reggie Bailey would always have musicals. And we will always get on those musicals, and it would be myself, Bishop Walker, and Kevin Cooper, and it just ended up being that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of, that's where the chemistry started. So before there was a Love Fellowship, we kind of was moving around the city together, just trying to sing, just wanting to be in church, wanting to look for musicals and go to churches and put ourselves on the program.
That's crazy. I want to shoot this over to Eddie because you, Stanley, Gerald, Eddie, Melvin, Barry, Willie Brown, Nate. I think Nate was in that crew too. Y'all had, I remember the first time I ever saw y'all play, it was at St. John's on Bainbridge and Saratoga. And y'all had on those black and white polka dot shirts. And y'all called yourselves the X-Men. Where did y'all get that name from? Eddie or Stanley, or Craig, one of y'all, any one of y'all.
I mean, I think it came from Bishop's middle name. I think is his name Xavier.
Xavier, yeah.
I think it came from there. I don't know, how Stanley got it, how we got it, but I think that's where it came from.
Yeah, I thought Craig made that name up. Who called
I did.
Huh?
I did.
Yeah.
I was a comic book nut.
Yeah.
And like in the X-Men, they all had their own powers and stuff. And that's how I always saw like the band, like everybody had like their own lane. Like we all played together, but even individually, Stanley was incredible, Eddie was incredible, Gerald was incredible. And so I just thought like, yo, this is like comic book status. This is like the X-Men. Everybody got their own powers or something like that.
Yeah, because
Eddie had that we just started saying, then it just stuck.
Yeah, because Eddie had this thing, like this bounce. He made everybody want to play the bass. I think it was a Kramer at the time, Eddie. Yeah. that was
check your phone.
Yeah.
Listen, all I know there's other people that's trying to come in, but if I touch this phone and try to do something, the whole broadcast may go off. So
I think Gerald is trying to get in.
I know I'm trying. I'm nervous.
He is.
All right, let me try. All right, participants. Gerald, where's Gerald? Okay, Lauren.
That's Lauren.
All right, Lauren.
I see Lauren.
Okay.
What's happening?
All right.
Lauren is the host now.
Yeah.
I'm the host.
It's just a title, bro. It's just a title. Don't worry about it, man of God.
Listen, don't start no smart stuff. We just got on the phone on the call.
It's just a title, cousin. It's just a title.
All right, no titles. I don't need that. Go ahead, Pastor.
No, because I don't really know how to work this on my phone like this. So just as long as you get in the door, Doc, that's all that matters. I'm trying to get Gerald in. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna keep talking, and I'm gonna keep working to get the rest of the guys in. But let's talk about real quick, guys, how the I'll Make It album changed the sound of gospel. Because to me, I was a fan before I started playing for the choir, and we used to practice. Myself, Lance, Big House, all of us, we used to practice to you guys. So to go from practicing to you guys and actually becoming one of y'all was monumental. But how did y'all develop that sound? Because I'll Make It it changed the game for New York City. How did y'all come up with that sound?
Well, the sound originally, what happened was Bishop Walker was like a DJ Rogers fanatic, right? And I think everybody was at that time. You had people who would just mimic and had that sound. Like there was Bishop Walker, then there was Xavier Napper. And then if you spent any time with Carly Williams, if you hung out any time with Carly and went over to the house on Clinton Avenue,
all them records,
all them DJ Rogers records, man. So what happened was Bishop Mose, and this is really what started it. Bishop Mose knew that we would just, we love DJ Rogers so much. One day, Bishop Mose brings in DJ Rogers to Bridgeport, Connecticut, right? So, which was supposed to be like a weekend or a couple of nights of workshop or revival. DJ Rogers actually stayed, ended up staying for like 2 or 3 years in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So now, Bishop Mose would give DJ Rogers opportunities to go speak for his friends like Bishop Owens in Washington, D.C. And he would allow me to travel with DJ Rogers and play organ. So back in those days, guys, when you traveled with an evangelist, you didn't stay in hotels. You stayed at the pastor's house of whatever city you were staying in, right? And there was pianos there, and DJ during the day would just play his songs and his progressions, and he would just show me, exactly how he got, his music arrangements. And so I adapted that style. So musically, I adapted that style. Bishop Walker was already vocally a DJ Rogers clone. So it was a natural progression for us. So he actually taught us All Right Now, I'll Make It in a rehearsal.
Wow.
And so when you listen to the DJ Rogers record, Trust Me, and Eddie could speak more to it as well. All I Gave Him Was My Heart and all those type of songs. It was really what we patterned ourselves with it. We just kind of gave it with all of us together. We just gave it a New York aggression.
That's crazy.
I think too, a lot of people don't realize that me, Stanley, and Gerald started together.
Right.
Like Stanley was like 13 when I met him, and we was just together all the time. We played all the churches, Pleasant Grove. We played for Pleasant Grove for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Then we used to go on the road with Prophet Mosley.
Yeah.
We used to go with Prophet Mosley a lot. So we were always together. And I think, like I said last week, that's what made the chemistry, because we were friends. And so because of that, we always did as well. Had a relationship outside of just music. And then we tried to make everybody, we try to push everybody's gift, and just push everybody's potential to the max. And so I think that was the key. Then like Stanley said, we listened to a lot of people. DJ was the most influential, but then it was the Gap Band. It was a lot of different people that we listened to. We just took those elements and we created our own. So there were things that Stanley could do that I could just follow him, and just pick right up. And the same thing with Gerald. So that's where the foundation came from.
And I really wish, I think Lauren, because you're the host, I think you have to let Gerald in if he's still trying to get in, if you can. But I want to shift a little bit, and I don't have to be the only one asking questions, y'all. It's not my thing. It's all of our thing. But, I want to switch it to Reggie Parker.
Well, Gerald said he can see us, but he can't. He can hear us, but he can't see himself.
Yeah, Lauren has to let him in the room.
Lauren still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. So is Reggie Parker still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So want to bring it to your era, because for us coming in behind, and when Gerald gets in, I want to really talk to Gerald and Craig, because those shoes were like crazy to have to try to fill. What is it that inspired you to make? Because you people they laugh about it all the time, but you really do have. I'll give you your props. Finally, me and Jeff Les is always busting your chops, but you really do have some great bass intros.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
So we're gonna give you your flowers while you can smell them, Solo. Because that's Reggie's nickname. We call him Solo. But what inspired you to come up with all that stuff, man? That really, I see a lot of bass players to this day, you know, trying to practice to what you created. And what was some of that stuff that inspired you to do that?
Wow, no one ever asked me that, but
we don't have to, because you always tell us. But I figure because we on here.
Okay. I don't know. I that's a hard question, because when I first played with Hez, the Live in Atlanta project, that was kind of intimidating, because that was my first big, really project that I knew was going to come out and be heard to the masses. So, you know, you had Jeff Davis on drums. You know, you had the whole crew. You guys were already comfortable with Hez. I was the new kid on the block. So I was nervous, really, for that project. And Reggie Young was killing. So when, you know, it took weeks, but I finally got to play I Will Go. You know, I Will Go was an absolute mess. And we finally got together. Jeff was like, yo, if you don't get this joint together, I'm going to ask that Reggie Young play this song. So Jeff was really in my butt, but he had to be. And he really changed me. He said, yo, just relax and just be yourself. And that's what kind of changed everything. And then once I heard that, I went home and I came up with that intro for I Will Go. And then we got the bass line. I got the bass line for the groove. And I think Jason, the answer is I was just always confident with, you know, my ability. And I gotta give credit to Nate and all the keyboardists for even allowing me to do more than one intro. You know what I'm saying? That's really unheard of, to have so many bass intros on with a particular choir like that. And but I would have to say a lot of it was confidence and being confident in my musicality, that it fit the song. Because Jeff Davis would always say, whatever intro you come up with, make sure it fits the song.
Okay.
And I tried to always, you know, come up with that, hit it and quit it, not too long, and go right into the song.
Now Rufus had some questions that he wanted to ask, so I'm gonna turn it over to Rufus Jackson, who is currently the bass player now for the choir, who, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job.
Yep.
Him and Jeff have taken everything to the next level, and it's on you, Rufus.
No, I think you touched it already. It was a question we were talking about earlier. How was the transition from Gerald's style of playing? You and Gerald have two totally different styles of playing. So how was that transition, and how was it received? Did you have a hard time, you know, implementing your style? Because again, Gerald was very aggressive. You're not as aggressive. Was that hard, being that Gerald was part of that blueprint? You know what I'm saying? How were you received? How was the transition?
I mean, it was, and I wish Lauren was still on here, because I'll tell you how the whole thing started. One day, the choir had to sing at House of David, and that's Victor Cook's church. And Gerald, Stanley, and all of them had left to go do some R&B tours and all that. So Bishop showed up to the church with no musicians. So me and Lauren was sitting in the audience, and Bishop said, yo, is there anybody in the audience, any musicians that know I'll make it? So me and Lauren looked at each other and was like, yo, let's go. And we went up there, and that's how me and Lauren started playing for the choir, because Gerald and all of them was out on other gigs and stuff. And I didn't know it back then that the opportunity would become available for me to play for the choir. But the first thing I did, I tried to do nothing that Gerald did, because Gerald is a phenom. And Gerald Hayward is my favorite drummer to this day. I don't care who it is. Gerald is my go-to guy. And being, because I followed him and Craig the way I did. I'm talking about to the point I remember at the Renaissance Center when they did that intro, and they threw the sticks at each other. I was in the choir stand like, yo! I was just a fan. So when the opportunity became available, I just started playing pocket. And I knew that if I played on the one, I would be straight, because I can't do what Gerald does. I don't know a lot of guys that can. So, and with Bishop, as long as you give him that one, you stay on that one, you'll be all right. And that's all I did my whole tenure with the choir. And as I started getting more comfortable, I started getting out the box a little bit, but I never strayed too far from that one. And I think that's what made me safe.
Gerald's still trying to get in. He said he's about to leave. He can't get in.
Let me try again. I'll try to get him again.
I don't know. I can't let him in for some strange reason. I don't know what's going on. I'm not able to see all of my things that I would normally see, so I could click on stuff. I just see a big screen, so I'm a little lost right now.
Well, we see you, Lauren. We see you.
He's on.
There
go, Joe.
All right.
I gotta click his video though.
Like,
yeah.
It's just the one.
Let's unmute him first. Unmute him so you can hear him.
He's unmuted on my end.
Yeah.
Yep. He's in the room on my end.
Gerald, what's up?
Can y'all still see me? No, right?
No.
Your picture.
Now we
hold
can
on
see
one
you.
second. I'm gonna get it in a second. I'm trying to do it on my my computer in the studio. I'm on my phone, so it's not. It's weird, but it's all
Gerald,
good.
can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right.
What up, Gerald?
What up?
All right.
Yeah. So, Jules.
Yo.
You've written. Everybody, please mute your mics if you're not talking. You've written some of the greatest songs for the choir. Give us a little background on how you come up with the tunes you come up with.
Well, that varies depending on which phase we're in. You know what I mean? When
we're not talking about calling my name. We're definitely not talking about that.
Well, the first song I wrote for Love Fellowship is On Time. It wasn't calling my name. Right. So, and that of course was a way different approach than calling my name was. I always tried to do something that the album was missing. Usually when we do these records, people from everywhere submit all kinds of music, and most of the time they submit what Love Fellowship used to be. And we have a lot of the same bump. So my strategy always was to try to do something that would bring a versatile approach to the project in total, and then something that I felt that people wanted to see and hear, Right. I think, Gerald, we see you. We did.
Yo, Jules, I got a question for you. When you wrote "Calling My Name," did you come up with what did you come up with first, the melody, or did you already have lyrics in mind?
It's usually the music first. It's usually my process is weird, so it goes with my imagination. So usually I see the church, I see the audience, I see the effect, I see people at the altar, and I kind of fill in the blanks from there. You know what I mean? Right. To add the content, from that perspective. So, when we ask songwriting questions, there are two elements to it. It's the music, and then there's the actual message, which are two components.
that, you know, have different applications to them. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, from the musical perspective, I definitely was very strategic. And then from the lyrical perspective, it's contingent to what's going on at that time. Right. You know? At the time of calling my name, we all literally was living that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when we were we were still teenagers, some of us. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we was out there. You feel me? And then the fact that we were still able to be functional through the mercy of God via Bishop Walker, you know, it was something. I mean, the main character of that contingency is Jason, of course. But at the end of the day, we all experience, you know.
I don't understand why you keep saying it.
Jason, tell a story, Jules. Tell a story of what Jason said.
No, because if he tells the story, that takes away his plausible deniability to sue him for publishing. Because if he tells the story on this live, I now have ocular proof that I am entitled to a percentage of the publishing. So it's up to you, Jules. It's up to you.
This is where we talk about the bandage on the forehead.
No, we ain't even got yet.
That's the story I want to hear, Brad.
Well, right. I would put it this way. I was inspired by the sin of my constituents.
Plural? Did I hear plural? S?
That's a good one.
Oh, there's several constituents that were sinful. Several.
But you only give me credit for inspiring you. And I didn't understand that. You were an angel.
You and your daughter out of wedlock. Yes.
Yes, I understand that. And if you keep going, I got you on video. I'm going to sue you, Jules. I have a very good Italian attorney. He's going to get you.
Bring him on. So, you guys love claiming. Why don't you just write your own song?
Well, how about you keep me out of your song? You hear the word, "Oh Lord, I sin," as if you were flawless.
I was never flawless, but you were such an inspiration. I figured, you know.
So let me ask the question of Jeff Leslie. How did it feel when you first came to Disney World to fill in for Jeff? How nervous were you? How did you know that you can even get the job done? You know what I'm saying? Because you was really young then.
That's a good one. Nervous, yeah, and at the same time, church just kind of started. So, like, you know, I was playing for local choirs back home, and I've been a fan of Love Fellowship since day one. So it wasn't even the fact of like trying to know the material, just the fact of just fitting in with you guys, but the fact that I was around you guys, it was almost kind of natural, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I know I was being thrown into the deep end of the pool, but it was still kind of natural because I was always around you guys. It's not like I wasn't around and I didn't didn't know the flow. I just kind of just went with it, and, you know, it is what it is.
How old were you when we first met at Disney World?
I was 16 then.
Yeah,
at Disney World, I was 16.
17. Yeah.
Wow. 16, young.
Yeah. But yo, we're missing some elements here. Some things that should be said.
Good.
As far as music, a lot of our original instrumentalists come from institutional. Gerald comes from institutional. Jeff comes from institutional. Melvin comes from institutional.
Eddie.
Stanley was part of the culture. You know what I mean? And the thing about
Eddie.
that church, huh?
Eddie.
You gotta remember Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie. You know, Eddie come the whole original, and even if you weren't directly from that church, you were of that culture. So a lot of what we attribute as Brooklyn really comes from that place as the nucleus.
Would you say Butch is like a major contributor?
Yes, very,
absolutely.
because institutional is where that aggression comes from. Because when you talk about Jeff Les was playing aggressive like that before he was playing for Love Fellowship.
Right.
He had that aggression. And normally anybody that made it through, because Bishop Walker is not the easiest person to serve.
No, sir.
You know,
No,
he
sir.
has the sound in his head. And a lot of that comes from that institutional aggression. If you come with that, especially on an organ or the drum set, you good to go. You know what I mean? And it's something that we all had to learn. That left hand bass, that 4 on the floor, like that's something, you know, that's attributed to the aggression of the Brooklyn culture. Another thing, some of our musicians, like some of us were canvases, and then some of us were painters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I consider Jason more of a canvas player, and he played a position. So Jason's position allowed Reggie Parker to do what he do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then when you consider Eddie, who was more of a pocket, it allowed Gerald to be a painter. You know what I'm saying? So it was like it always kind of just balanced out.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wasn't as flat. Huh?
You're pretty smart. That was a great analogy.
Yeah.
I never looked at it like that. Seriously.
Look, Jules, you should have been the host.
Don't do me like that, Reggie. We had a few technical difficulties.
I don't have the special effects Jay do. You know what I mean?
Okay. But Joe, not to cut you off, Jules, but I see Gerald is in here, and I really want to take time personally to pay homage to Gerald Haywood.
Yes.
I had the most frightful assignment, which was to come behind this phenom. But Gerald, I just want to tell you, man, thank you for changing the sound of gospel drumming. I don't think you get the credit you deserve. I think you are a trendsetter, and
thanks, bro. No question.
We stand on your shoulders, bro, and it's nothing but respect. And I won't talk about how you and Craig used to bully me, but I just want to say that I love you, Gerald, man, and just thank you. And I want to give you your flowers while you can smell them, because you really, man, are phenom, and to be a part of the camp with you is an honor, man. So what made you play the way you played, man? Let's hear from Gerald.
Well, you know, number one, I was from Brooklyn. You know, there was a lot of good drummers in Brooklyn. I had to figure out a way to be heard. And, you know, like, you know, from Eddie buying the records that Carly used to have at his house, from Carly buying the records, from me being introduced to Jeff Davis, and I had Monte Greer. So this is all weird because, you know, when I sit and think about it, the way that the whole drumming thing came about was, you know, I used to play the congas. I wasn't a drummer. I wasn't a drummer at all. Oh, wow. And I used to play the congas. Reese's brother, Xavier, used to sit me on his lap, and I used to play the congas. I was a conga player at my church, at institution. And, you know, one time we was having a night service, and it was upstairs in the church, and the drummer, Anthony Fisher, was outside, and we started service. And it was like, yo, man, I was the only one in there playing the congas for the devotion service. And, you know, I was like, man, I'm about to get on the drums. So I got on the drums and started playing for the devotional service. And Anthony Fisher came to the church, and he was like, yo, get off the drums. I got off the drums, got back on the congas, you know, and then, well, we'll make a long story short, you know, some of the kids was like, yo, you should play the drums, man. You sound really good on the drums. And then I started playing the drums. So with that being said, Carly was the drummer. That was kind of like next in line. It wasn't me, it was Carly.
Wow.
And
play like Carly real quick.
Huh?
Play like Carly real quick.
No, but Carly was the drummer. Carly was the drummer, and it wasn't me. But you know, everybody just kept saying like, "Yo, man, you sound really good on the drums. You should play the drums. Play the drums." So I started playing the drums. Meanwhile, I was playing the congas for Jeffrey White's choir. And Rob Monroe was the drummer, and Jeffrey's brother Poppy was the drummer too. So, I mean, you know, like just the inception of me starting to play the drums, Rob and them started paying attention, and Jeffrey started paying attention to me playing the drums. So people used to come to institutional and listen to me play on the broadcast. And I don't know. I don't even know how it all happened, but I just know that like I just got into the drums. I really got into the drums and started learning different techniques and different things. You know, hearing Jeff, being around Monte. You know, I was playing the congas for everybody, man. I was playing the congas for AGE. So that caused me to be around Monte. AGE with Monte playing drums, George Washington playing bass. Wow. So like I was kind of pushed into a lot of musical, I can say musicians like gatherings, you know what I mean? Then Stanley Brown came to my church with the quartet group that he played for, and he was the drummer.
Wait. Stanley Brown was the drummer for a quartet group?
Yes, and they was called the Gospel Estheticists.
No, the Gospel Rhythmistics.
Rhythmistics, right?
Whoa!
I'm playing.
So Stanley.
That's crazy.
Stanley came in my church blazing drums, bro. Like he was playing drums, but he was like, I don't know. Stanley must have been about 12, 11, 12, something like that, 13, I don't know. But that made me like, yo, I'm going to really, really get serious about the drums. And me and Stanley became friends. He started playing the organ with Jeffrey White, which, you know, that was like, I seen him that time, and then I didn't see him for a while. And then I seen him when I got with Jeffrey White. So me and Stanley became really close, and we was going around Brooklyn, man. We was doing revivals and all of this stuff. And Eddie lived in Far Rockaway at the time. So it's a lot of stories, you know. When I finally started playing for Hez, when Hez started the choir, I remember us going to Craig's church for an anniversary. And this is when I met Craig. I met Craig at a church anniversary that his choir was at, a choir anniversary, and me and Eddie, and that's how I met Craig. So like it was really strategic how everything happened and how everything was just placed how it was.
Gerald, I want to ask you a question, Gerald.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you what I think, and the rest of y'all could chime in.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says "I'll Make It" is the song where you change the sound of gospel. My honest opinion is "He's Sweet, I Know."
No,
that's my opinion. What y'all think?
That's funny.
No way.
That's funny. So check it out. So Calvin Rogers called me one day. He said, "Yo, man," he said, "I've been listening to this song like basically since I've been a kid." He was like, and I never knew that it was you playing the song. And I was like, really? And he was like, what song was it? He's like, it's a song called "He's Sweet, I Know." And he was like, that song changed my whole style of drumming. It started me playing the way that I play. And I was like, really? And he was like, man, He was like, I never heard nothing like that before in my life, but I never knew it was you playing. So he called me and told me about that song. So like that song is connected to me, that song is connected to Calvin Rogers. Like it is like it's like a coming out party for him. I feel the same way. I don't feel that I'll Make It is like the big game changer. I feel that He's Sweet I Know was the game changer.
Let me tell y'all why I disagree with that.
I disagree with that too. I think it was because you couldn't do those kind of things in gospel.
Right.
Like a record, you play like that. And so for us to allow Joe to just do whatever he wanted to do, it allowed other drummers from different places to say, wow, we can do that and still get back in the pocket. And make it. So I think that really,
I don't think there will be a He's Sweet I Know without a I'll Make It.
Exactly.
Right.
But
see, you gotta remember, I didn't listen to Jeff when it came to play the album different than you play the live song. The song, because see, what you gotta remember is all of those songs, we played them songs for like 2 years at a time before we recorded them.
Right.
So we played them like we was playing them constantly everywhere. Right. So the way that I played them in rehearsal, I played them on the show, and then I played them on the record the same way. I didn't change. I didn't take nothing away, or I didn't add anything. I just played them the same exact way all the time. So like, it was just that one way that I played it, and that's how it came out. But I'll Make It was a frustrating time because something happened where they called Jeff in to play along with me. Something went wrong. I don't remember what it was, but something went wrong and they called Jeff in because, Jeff was the house drummer for Sweet Rain. So Jeff wound up playing 2 songs. Like something went wrong. I can't remember what exactly happened, but something went wrong and I almost wasn't going to play the album, period. So, but at the end of the day, I wound up playing my 2 songs. Jeff played 2. I wound up playing my songs and Jeff played his 2 songs. That album, I remember when Aaron told me he took that album to Teddy Riley for an audition piece. And that's how I started playing for God. Because Teddy said, yo, who is the 2 guys playing on this song, I'll Make It? And Aaron said, no, it's one guy. It's my little cousin, Gerald. And he was like, nah, it's not. He said, nah, it's not one person playing that. You hear all of those drums? He thought I was 2 drummers on the song. So Aaron took me to Teddy. He took me to Teddy Riley and I played for him. And Teddy Riley was like, yo, I want to take you on a roll with me right now. And I told him, I said, man, your music is whack. We play harder stuff in church than what you doing. These hip hop beats is corny. Like, I'm good. So that was my introduction to the world, basically. And
I remember when y'all left. When y'all left, and you and Craig came back to rehearsal at the parish house. Y'all had the guy jackets with the glitter on the back. I was like, yo, that is so fresh, yo. But yo, we got a
Stanley played for God first, though.
Stanley was playing first.
Stanley was at the guy room.
Stanley started it.
That's when Stanley had that white Mercedes.
Started. We used to call that the I'll Make It Benz. That's before any of us had a Mercedes. We called Stanley White Benz.
And Nate was gonna go. Nate was gonna go on tour with God too.
Oh wow.
Nate was at rehearsal. Nate was gonna go. Nate was gonna play bass before Kern.
Oh, whoa.
That is
crazy.
And speaking of Nate, we got to give Nate a shout out because Nate McNair, you have got to be one of the greatest MCs, bro. Thank you for making us play our parts. Thank you for disciplining us. And Nate be like, yo, you know the song? You know your part? Go over it real quick. and sound check.
Hold on,
But
wait.
hold on. 1 second. Before y'all go there, you gotta go back to when Eddie was running things.
Eddie.
Because when I came to rehearsal, when I first came, Eddie was in charge. And Eddie made us play them songs. Eddie did not play with us, and Eddie and that's what I was getting ready to say. One of the main things that I took with me was the discipline of how tight we got as a unit based off of Eddie's leadership. And I think because of Stanley, Gerald, and all of them, they had such a high standard that when we came in, Eddie was like, nah, y'all gonna play this, and this is the way it's gonna be. And we got called out if we was wrong. I didn't get called out a lot.
Me neither.
I did what I was supposed to do. But Jason, on the other hand,
no.
Jason, you got yelled at a lot.
No.
But on the other hand, I just want to say this before we go to Nate, because Nate was excellent. But I have to say that Stanley, Eddie, and Gerald really laid the foundation for the way things were supposed to go. And I think that's why we were all able, including Jules and everybody else, I think we were all able to really take the mantle based on the foundation that was set. I remember times where Stanley wouldn't be at rehearsal for months and come to a Thursday night rehearsal and shut us all down because he had the flow of everything. And then when they all got on, when Craig, when Eddie and Gerald, and they all sat down, we just was looking crazy because it was so amazing to see. And I think that's what really made me really want to be the musician I am today, because of the examples that we had. We didn't get away with just doing whatever. You got challenged, you know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to make sure that we, everybody knew that Eddie was a really big foundation. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, Lauren, we talked about it when you got cut off. You remember the first time we played for the choir at House of David?
Yeah, I remember. Hez asked if somebody knew I'll make it, and we ended up playing for Hez, and Hez really enjoyed it, and so we ended up coming to rehearsal, and we thought we was good until Gerald and Stanley and Eddie walked in. And we heard them playing, and we was like, whoa, okay.
That blue Tamaset, guys.
That gray Tamaset that said GOG on it, because Gerald had to be different in color of skins or whatever. So, but I mean, even to having keyboards, I mean, Stanley really was pivotal to really creating sounds and making us use sounds. And Nate was pivotal in having patches to play and making sure everybody was playing parts. And I think that was just the camaraderie and the excellence that started. And I think that's what makes us great, because it never changed. Jules took the mantle and Jules did the same thing. Nobody settled. All of us are kind of the same in a sense, because, our level of discipline, what we came under, we didn't come under, we just going to let you pass and do whatever you want. Nah, son, you going to either get off or you going to play with everybody else. And I think that's what made us great. And even when Reggie came in, Reggie was just creative. It was room for it. When Reggie Parker came in, he was so creative because he had things in his heart and in his body that really went with what was going on, because everybody else was so disciplined because the way the structure was.
Can I make a confession? Can I make a confession to y'all? When the choir used to sing "Oh the Storm," and Stanley would put on that D50 Heaven.
Over.
I would go.
Why do you know the name of the pastor? I never knew that.
That's crazy.
But we have to give a lot of credit. Give a lot of credit because Stephen Ford was programmed.
Stephen Ford,
yeah.
And what people don't know is, like, one of our first sessions, like myself, Gerald, and Eddie, we would call out a Philly to do a session, right?
Oh God.
It was Robert Ward Farmer,
Nah, what we did
high school.
Dobbins High School Choir.
Dobbins High School
Choir
with Michi.
With
and
me,
Stephen Ford.
And we were the band, and Stephen Ford had us down in Philly. We were driving back to Philly every night. And Stephen Ford would make arrangements right there on the spot. And you had to learn the arrangements right there on the spot. And so we taping everything one night. So we get back in the car to drive back home, right? And I think Eddie was supposed to make the tape that night. So we get in the car because like we gotta learn this music, y'all. So we gotta drive all the way back to New York and we're gonna listen to this music. We playing a tape, and there's nothing on the tape.
Zero.
Eddie forgot to hit record.
Yeah, I'm so scared. I'm so scared, man.
So how did y'all learn the material then?
Had to learn it.
We had to learn it, man. The next day, it felt like we learned it in the sound check. That's
yeah, y'all learned that music in the sound check, man.
That's what it felt like.
But check this out, the sound check. Let's talk about the sound check, right? So you got this packed church. You got this packed church in Philly, and they're like, okay, drums. So Gerald's doing his thing, he's doing his, warm-ups for the sound check. Now the church is packed while they asking us to do line check, right? So now they say, okay, bass player, Eddie, he checks his bass and everything is cool. They said, okay, Stephen Ford, would you check your boards, please? Right? The whole church goes into complete silence when they mention his name, right? So Steve starts playing, and it's like these sounds from nowhere, just like the heavens open up, right? And people are just mortified. So after Steve is done, they say, okay, organ. I was like, nah, it works. We're good.
Got that.
That's crazy. So, yo, Gerald and Craig, when you guys started playing together, when Craig took over, when Gerald left, I was on the bongos. I got demoted. Because Craig came, and Craig was the closest thing to Gerald.
That's right. You right.
And y'all remember the first time we did Bobby Jones, I was on the bongos. I was the loudest in the mix, yo.
With a robe on.
Yo, Bobby Jones, that was when I realized. I didn't realize before that, Jason, I didn't realize that Bobby Jones was a real doctor.
Oh, wow.
Like he has an actual degree in music. So he came in.
That till just now.
He came in, right? And he started talking to us in these real technical terms about what he heard on that first album. He talked about the 4 on the Floor. He talked about the influence of the hip hop. I mean, he went through all of it. And I was like, yo, this dude is like really smart. Like he's a real doctor for real.
Yeah.
But it was like the first time I had really heard somebody put in technical terms the whole what the music was and his perspective from somebody who was listening from another part of the country and what the music made him feel like. That was like a trip to me, man.
Yeah, but do you remember opening up for people like the Wayans? And they didn't turn the house on for us.
For that.
Oh yeah,
that was crazy.
Only the monitors. We only have monitors.
That's all right. We wore them out though.
Wore them out.
Commission didn't want to come behind us.
Yo, let me tell you something.
They never
wore Commission out so bad one night. We was in Kansas City, and they didn't put the choir up till like 2 a.m, man.
Yes, son.
And what was crazy is everybody stayed. We thought everybody was going to leave after Commission finished. Everybody stayed. Commission had a full stage show, light, smoke, everything. Hez gets the mic. He said, "We ain't got no smoke. We ain't got no lights, but we got the whole audience went crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, you know what I learned from that experience was like, a hit record is a hit record. There's nothing you could do about it.
Nothing you can do about it.
And I'll Make It was a hit record, man.
He did. Craig, you remember? Craig,
I remember when we did that at
Bobby Jones. He did that at Bobby Jones. He said, because John Key did something. He just went into a shout. He's like,
at Bobby Jones, we didn't sing till like 1:30 in the morning. The choir didn't sing till like 1:30.
Exactly.
It was crazy, man. Like nobody.
We had on the onesie. I hated them.
Once the choir came,
kids had us in the onesies. I hated them things.
Yo, you know what's crazy? You know what's
With
crazy?
the gold
One time that happened with the Winans, and we went on before the Winans, and they gave us like 3 speakers. It was like 50 speakers in the place. They gave us like 3 speakers. Yo, we did our Make It, bro. And I promise to God, when we left the stage, the audience was, I'll make it. I'll make it. Like they sang I'll make it until the Winans said they first. Right now, I don't know just how I feel, but it's been so long. Oh, he's I'll make it. I'll make it. So like, yo, we really like we just put the bounce on and we left. We wore them out. Like they was mortified all the way into their first song, into their first intro, bro. The people were singing I'll make it. They were just singing the song.
But the days where you had to carry your own equipment, right? Like our bus.
Come on now.
The bus looked like the guitar center. It looked like we had the guitar center under the bus, right? And I remember doing a concert in Columbia, South Carolina. It was a jam-packed house, and we gave it all we had. And come to find out, the promoter ran off with the money.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that?
We didn't know how we was getting home.
We didn't know how we was going to get home, so we had to stay over and sing at a church the next day so we can get money to get back home.
Wow.
You know?
I don't know if y'all remember this, but the best memory I have of all of us together, it was one night we were at Zion Shallow downtown, and there was a choir by the name of Jay Nixon and Dunamis. And we were on the same program with them, and they had this song called, I think it was
I'm a Witness.
I'm a witness.
Yeah.
Yo, when I tell y'all, they wiped the floor with us that night. And Bishop was like, yo, y'all really gonna let them do that to us? And the next night was 4th Sunday night. And all of us came. This was the first time all of us had ever been together in a long time. Stanley came, Melvin came, Gerald came, Harry Dale came, Eddie came, Reggie Young, Jules, Lauren, we all was there. And when I tell y'all, we opened up a can on Dunamis that next night.
Yo, but Nate,
you gotta understand that Jay Nixon, they were all Nate's proteges. So
Nate was a double agent.
Kind of had the secret. So we
they kind of had some
where that was coming from. But they was all Nate proteges. You know what I'm saying?
They done so bad at that church, bro. We ain't never got done dirty like that. Bishop Walker was like, yo, y'all really gonna let them do us? Yo, it was bad. It was bad.
That's how it was. That's how it was when Danny Eastland showed up. Danny Eastland showed up with the whole Brownsville, son. I remember Danny Eastland showing up with the whole Brownsville. It was the whole. I was like, yo, first of all, who knew Jawan knew how to play the organ? I was like, that nigga ain't do nothing that institutional. He ain't do nothing that institutional, bro. I was like, yo, that nigga could play the organ?
It good.
It was Jeff Les, Jawan Martin. When we brought them down to Morehouse to open up for us, Danny Easton and them came with like 17 buses.
Yo, son. They was like the Mississippi Mass Choir, the mini version of the Mississippi Mass Choir.
And you know, David ain't let no bass player play with them. David was playing bass set. And they turned that Craig Wiggins loose, and Danny Easton went to work. They tried to kill us that night, but the Holy Ghost said
mortified.
No.
It was cool
I was standing backstage looking at Jeff Les like, yo, who that? This is this little nigga. This little nigga. Kill it, man.
Yo, that's funny because that whole choir became our church choir. Niggas was fresh. Became the church choir, dog. The whole gamut, all y'all. Just became Ronald, Ramel, everybody.
This new choir, I don't know who none of them people are. I'm like, who is this? I don't know none of them. I only know all the old people, the people that.
I never know the choir members anymore. I just know the musicians. I don't even.
You remember when Bernard used to play with us? Bernard
Bell, kid.
Bell, right? He was playing guitar, right?
Bernard Bell played for the choir?
Yes, sir.
What?
Crazy. The thing that you seen, I think it was the thing with the polka dot shirts. That's when he played. Bishop did a
conference.
Conference. When I did a drum clinic at the conference.
I know that was crazy.
And Nate was there with me. Nate played Bernard Bell. That was the first time Bernard Bell played with us. But yeah, I think Stanley might have brought Bernard around, or Nate. One of them.
Yeah,
he was playing guitar. Stanley brought him around. Yeah, man, that was crazy.
Nuts. Yo, let's shoot it over to the new guys. Rufus. Rufus Jackson, you still on with us, bro?
I'm here, boss.
Man, we want to salute you guys. You, Jeff, Les. I don't know who else is playing with y'all now. Who's the band now? It's you, Jeff. Who else?
Jabari.
Jules. Jabari.
Oh, yeah. And yo, you know what? Here's a history fact. Jules is the only one that has played with every band.
Yeah.
The only one.
Wow. Jules the man.
I think we got to give Jules like a lifetime achievement award.
Or straight jacket.
Jules, he's the only one.
Or straight jacket.
Some Prozac.
Oh man. I just realized that the other night. I was like, yo, Jules is the only one that played with all of us. That's crazy.
Wow.
He played with Stanley and them at one point. Then he played. Yeah. Oh, you too, Nate. Yeah.
Nate.
Nate too.
And Nate actually is before Jules.
Yeah, Nate was playing before. Yeah. Yeah, because Jules came after us, right, Lauren?
Jules came after us. I kind of came like sniffing around Stanley, and that's pretty much how I kind of took me to a rehearsal.
To be honest,
but Stanley brought me to a rehearsal when I was young. I forgot what the church was. It was on. It was like next to Mount Sinai. There's
that was
Bishop Monk's Church.
Bishop Monk's
Church. Monk's Memorial.
That's when I first really went to see what everything was about. And then kind of after that, then you know what I'm saying, we kind of, I kind of was like shadowing Stanley for years. And then that's pretty much how I kind of was interested or knew any of the history of the choir. And then from there, I kind of took a back door, and then Jason and I, we were family, and we found out we were cousins, and that was which was crazy. But then we were already cool, and then we started kind of like hanging together.
The thing is, I was there before y'all. I was there before Jason and Lauren.
Oh,
I got put on punishment.
No,
my father put me on punishment, and before y'all came on, I was there, but Eddie didn't let me play.
Didn't they used to make you sit in front of the drums, Jules?
I used to hold the drum. I used to hold the bass drum.
I'll tell you, Eddie ran a tight ship, Jack.
Yeah, Doc. Eddie didn't play around, Doc. Eddie played no games, Reverend.
Eddie, yo, there was one time. Nate had a red Mustang.
Yeah, I remember that.
The choir was in Baltimore. It was Eddie and Gerald. We was waiting on Nate, who was speeding up 95. Melvin didn't come, and I was sitting right there, and I'm like, nobody's here. I'm gonna play. Eddie still didn't let me play. they played with a bass and a drum until Nate came walking in.
Let's talk about that.
Give an account for yourself, Eddie.
Jews. Jews. So let me ask you this: do Bishop just let you bring anybody in right now?
Nope. Okay, so let me defend you. Let me defend you before I go. All of y'all, everybody kind of came in through the musician's door. I didn't know the system. So I joined the choir as a choir member.
No.
First of all, I'm from all of the West Indian islands. I had no clue how to play nobody's American music. I was not that dude. And that's a fact. I had to learn. I had to learn through osmosis from getting kicked off. My bishop, my pastor taught me how to play the organ. I was a piano player. Me and Lauren used to sit in my aunt's basement and I would show him piano and he showed me organ. I was not there. You know what I'm saying?
Like, remember that, Jules.
Wow.
Lauren? Wait.
I don't remember that. I don't remember your aunt's basement.
My aunt's basement with that little gray keyboard. We used to play this little, in fact, you used to play the great keyboard that I bought.
Now I know that you used to have to you brought your O1W, and
that was before the O1W. By the time O1W came, I was
because you know when I remember meeting you, Jules, I remember meeting you at a fourth Sunday night, and you was sitting behind it, and that's where I first saw you, and that's when I first met you, and then you got on the organ, and that's why that was my recollection of where I first met you, and from there. I you know what I'm saying, like before then I'm not sure if I don't remember per se. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't remember that.
Remember I was your ride home.
You was only my ride home twice, Jack. you gotta understand, Jules. Maurice Lochner used to pretty much bring me to rehearsal all the time. And then I would catch the train.
That's true.
Or I would ride with Reggie Parker. Because Reggie Parker picked me up a lot
down the street.
Yeah, Reggie Parker. And that's how me and Reggie got close. And then we started really gelling and started coming up with a lot of ideas because Reggie was always playing some kind of music in the car and we'd be sitting up there like, oh, that's dope. Let's add that or kind of bring these different elements because Bishop always liked everything straight. But me and Reggie were the rebels because we was like, let's try this. If he don't like it, then we'll just go back playing straight. And so I think that opened up the door for the creativity as far as the way the music started to sound because we weren't just settling for, just what was happening. We wanted to be creative. And as time went on and Bishop saw the reaction of everybody, he kind of let us go and he kind of let it happen. But it was and then, Stanley would come with sequences and things like that. And as Stanley started producing and bringing that stuff back, we were able to be more creative. And so it was just a stem from everybody. And I think we all, what I want to say honestly is I admire the way we all are friends. From the first band to the second band to even up to Jules, I think one of the things that we kept going was our friendship and our respect for one another, and that separated us from a lot of people because I looked forward to hearing Stanley get on the organ. You know what I'm saying? Or we looked forward to hearing each other on, and we cheered each other. And then we knew we got smoked. I knew when Stanley comes, it's time to get up. I knew that. I knew when Melvin came, it was time to get up because Melvin was going to smoke you. That's pretty much what the mindset was. But we learned so much in that process. And I think me and Jules being the same age, I'm a little older, but we being the same age, I think we kind of gelled as young comrades, and then kind of just, you know, I started touring in the R&B, and then Jules really took over and really started running the shit pretty much.
No, I didn't take over till a lot later, because what I became the organist for a long time. Nate was the MD.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Nate was the MD, and when
Nate
I came,
Nate is a pillar. Like,
yeah.
Jules, we put a lot of time in, Lauren, back in the early '90s.
Yeah, a lot of it was because Bishop was so used to Stanley that it was
exactly hard. Eddie, exactly.
And so it wasn't nothing against you. We're gonna squash this because this is like the 5th time I heard you say.
Set it straight, Eddie. Set it straight.
It had nothing to do with you, because even like when Stanley was gone, he left a big responsibility for me that I really didn't want. Gerald and them pushed me to do it. I really didn't want to do it. So when I had to find somebody, when I saw Nate, it was like, dude, he dope, but I don't know if Bishop gonna like him, his style. Same thing. Nate had to come and he had to learn Bishop. When Bishop got comfortable with him, then it was like, okay, ain't nobody just gonna come in here now because he's comfortable with Nate. So that's all it was. It had nothing to do with your music. That's what I'm saying. It was never about you. It was never about you. It was always about
learn the songs, Jules. Learn the songs.
But you know what? To be honest, nobody played them songs like Stanley, and except Melvin was the only one that Bishop really was comfortable with. So you really had to like pay attention and really learn Bishop quickly, because Bishop was not going to let you mess up a song, period. If he heard the chord, he I don't know what kind of ears he got, but he knew it wasn't what he wanted to hear.
Yeah, he know it's
that's all I know. And a lot of times he let you know, that ain't it. I don't know what that is.
He would embarrass you in the show.
Right.
And then when I had to play Nate's parts, because now I had to, we went on Bobby Jones and we did "Oh Lord, We Praise You," and I had to play do 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 beep pop, but do 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 boop boop. Bishop was looking at me like, I don't know what that is. That's not "Oh Lord, We Praise You." Yo, Bishop is exactly what they played, but it's just like the way he was. You know what I'm saying? So Eddie's right.
All of us know this. His Bishop back is to the choir, and we'll mess up or something, and he'll look at the choir and go, "Have you ever heard any music like this?"
I'll say one more thing. Y'all don't know the sacrifice me, Stanley, and Gerald made too.
Oh man.
A lot of y'all are y'all benefiting from stuff that we sold. You know what I'm saying? So there were jobs that I quit in order to make it successful. And there was, like Gerald said, there was times when we got $75 for a whole weekend.
Thank you.
Quarters, nickels, and dimes.
It wasn't about the money it was just building something great. And like Stanley said, we didn't think about how far it was going to go. We just knew that we gonna make this great. And once we get to the point where, like, we started maturing it, and then the music started becoming more of a business for us. That's why Stanley and them, they started going out, because it was their livelihood. I was the last one to leave, and it took everything for me not to leave, because I didn't want to leave something that we birthed just to anybody. You know what I'm saying? So that was it. So I still love you, Jules. You my brother.
Nah, yo, you know what it is, bro. Like,
talk about this.
I don't ever tell that story from a hurtful place.
I know that.
Yeah, nah, it's because everybody had an experience that made them. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm at a point now where it don't even matter, you know, how I play. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, it's about something else for me. But it took something to make me.
Right.
You wasn't the only one. Gerald used to wear me out. Stanley wore me out. Like, yo, I've been, but I had to learn that. Gerald used to wear me out on my clothes.
He wore everybody.
You gonna tell the story about the attache?
Wait, who wore you out on your clothes?
Gerald Haywood.
Yo, Gerald used to wear everybody out. Gerald,
no. Let me tell you,
Gerald was a nightmare.
Out,
Oh, God.
No. Gerald, when I came around, it's like I came straight off a boat from the West Indies, right? So I learned the gospel music culture from listening to WRL. I've never been to institutional. I never been to Beulah. Like, my first time was coming to audition for Bishop Walker. So I used to dress.
You had to audition?
Not really, but I joined as a choir member. I didn't know the process, bro.
So you was in the tenor section, George.
Yeah, I'm surprised y'all let that slide.
No, I did not know that,
y'all
Joe.
let that slide.
But what we looking at now is Jules created a legacy.
That's exactly.
And hold up, let's be clear. One of the number one songs that every church in America is singing is something that Jules penned through that experience. So even though you can see the pain through the process, but look at the man he's become, and look at what he's birthed because of that kind of discipline. We all became better because of each other.
No,
you know what I'm saying? And that's really what it's all about. You know?
There was another point. Bishop wanted a lifestyle too, and it was like, you can't just be bringing anybody in here. That lifestyle, because we all was doing. We all, like you said, that song was written about all of us when we first started.
I just want Jules to start telling it like that, Eddie.
Yeah, it was
a whole nother narrative.
But after a while,
I'm a little confused. What is the lifestyle Bishop was looking for? Because Jason played drums, so I'm trying to figure out
the same lifestyle he was looking for when he let you come with that green suit on and that attaché case.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you about the green suit.
See, that was your intro to that story, Joe. You like?
I came by not knowing what was up, and I was dressing like the tennis. So one night I had a jacket that stopped to my waist.
Jules always had them jackets.
That was that live collection.
That's my live collection.
And that Louis Vuitton purse used to carry with the little strap at the ends.
Exactly. He would wear a cup like this, Lauren, right under his arm.
Woo! I'm sorry.
And I had a slick Rick walk. So Gerald pulled me to the side. He said, "Come here." He pointed to Stanley. Stanley had on a gray suit. And then he pointed to another dude. I'm not going to name his name. He said, Gerald talked with his mouth closed. He said, "Look how he dressed. Look how he's dressed. Now look how you dress."
And that's it.
That was it. That was it. I went and bought me a black suit, a blue suit, and a brown one.
So basically, Gerald is your deliverer.
I mean, like everybody,
come on.
Everybody had to come up some way, somehow, bro. Like, I was completely off the coconut bus. I didn't know no better. You know what I mean?
Now, you did have one nice pair of travel fox, though, Jules. Yeah.
They were wallabies.
Yeah. You had a nice pair of travel fox. They was nice. But I want to
travel fox.
Gerald. I'm trying to help him out, Gerald. But I want to acknowledge.
But Jason, very shortly after that, we both started wearing purple leathers.
We're not talking about that.
We go if you're gonna keep going, because there's a lot of data mess going on.
It's a bad connection.
I'm about to pull up my Wi-Fi, dial up this data.
The Wi-Fi is going bad. It's going bad.
What about the story with the comb of the Jerry curl juice in the eye? What was that? What was that one about?
You want me to tell it, Jules, or you?
I don't think you know the story.
I do know the story.
Somebody. I was came to
my house.
I kept combing the Jerry curl juice, and it built up on the top of the comb. So I had a big foam puff like this on the comb. And it just flipped into my eye, and I couldn't see.
Joint was red as a stop
Couldn't
sign.
see for 10 hours.
And that's what Gerald said. Yo, Jules S. Curl, stop.
No. That wasn't for me. That was Gene.
That was for you, Jules.
No.
I don't know. Gene was wrong too, though.
Jason, you getting a little old. You mixing your stories.
We don't say.
Gerald walked right into Pacific Street, and he put his hand in the middle of that man's head like this. And he said, "Yo, kid, your ex girl stopped on M." Took his hand out. First of all, Gerald used to put his sticks in between his fingers like this.
We all got the blisters to prove it. All of us.
So it looked like he had 7 fingers because he had these big things on his fingers, and he would put his fingers right in your food. Like my germs.
Oh, we be at Junior's. Gerald never had to order food because he would go to everybody's table like, "Yo, you want that?" And stick his finger right in your food.
Oh man.
Hey, did y'all know that?
I want to give us a shout out to Harry.
Hold up. Did y'all know that Greg played on I'll Make It?
Greg. Yeah. Yes.
Greg played the organ on. I he's like, Greg, you played on like Lord Make a Way Somehow, or what'd you play?
Yeah, I played
what song did you play?
played synth on the Lord Make a Way Somehow. And
right.
The way I came into the choir was different than all y'all fellas, man. What happened was,
before you tell that, Greg, you tell that story, I just want to give you a hand for your backdrop.
Yo, the way I got into the choir,
Strong J.
The way I got into the choir was I was invited to the choir by 2 young ladies that used to sing with my group, and they knew I was a songwriter. So the way I got in is I came in and I taught Praise the Lord. So when I taught Praise the Lord, you know, like I think Stan probably remembered me, you know what I'm saying, with TGE or whatever, because I was with TGE. You know, and Cloud Barton High School Choir, you know what I'm saying? And I remember seeing like some of the fellas, but that's how I got into, you know, playing for the choir. And basically, because when I got there, it was just Stan on the organ. There was no synth guy there. So basically, that's really how I got into the band. So I'll never forget it. When we was like rehearsing for the I'll Make It album with Sweet Rain, I'll never forget, and Stan, I don't know if you remember this, but Stan came out the room and Stan was like, "Yo, man, they talking about you." And I'm like, "Uh-oh, I did something wrong." But what happened, I learned early on how to play patterns. So I always stayed out of, you know, Stanley's Way. Tim Moses was the keyboard player on the first record, and Arcel Vickers. Now, Arcel Vickers, these were monsters.
Yeah.
These were monsters. Everybody was dope. Everybody kind of like, in my opinion, kind of came through the ranks. Yo, I'm on here and I speak for the underdogs because I was an underdog. No one really knew me. I mean, like Reggie Parker knew me because I played for his church at, you know, I played for his church. You know what I'm saying? So different people knew me, but I wasn't known with the main cat. So that's kind of like how I came into it.
Wow. Harry, how did you come to the choir, Harry? Is Harry there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
How did you come to the choir?
Jocelyn invited me to the choir. I was playing at a church in the Bronx. So she heard the way I play. And then she was telling me about the choir. So I just came and checked the choir out in rehearsal. That was really it. Not intentions to play with the choir. It looks like they needed percussionists. And that's how it started. So it wasn't my intention to ever play with the choir. I didn't know anybody in the choir. So that's how I came to the choir.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, we sent Donovan the info. I don't know where he's at. Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Yo, remember Jeff Motley? Yeah. Yeah. And Donovan was a nice addition, man. Nice addition to the crew.
We used to play together in church. That's how me and Don got real cool.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Worship and praise. James Hall.
What? Right. Oh man, listen.
Hand me a water bubble.
Nope.
I remember that.
Because it's the style of organ, man.
Yeah.
Bishop had a genuine love for Uncle Butch. So like the sound that Uncle Butch had, you know, Melvin could replicate that sound, Stanley could replicate that sound, Lauren could replicate that sound. Like there's certain people that can replicate that sound, and if you notice, those are the people that Bishop automatically he leaned on.
Yeah.
Because Bishop used to come to Institutional and just hang out with us at Institutional. So as he was growing up, he was from Byward, but he used to come to Institutional. And that sound, even the songs, the material that was being taught that Uncle Butch wrote and all of that stuff, the reason why, you know, Bishop does them songs over because he grew up on that music.
Yeah.
And that sound is something that his ears enjoys that sound, that type of organ. So it's like, you know, like the Jersey organ, it's hard for him it don't sink in. The Jersey organ, some of the Queens vibes, that stuff don't sink in for him. So, you know, like, you know, Jabari can replicate, you know, James Hall and Melvin and Uncle.
Yeah.
So Jabari, he gets props right now because he's, you know, he can do that. And, you know, Jules is from Brooklyn. Jules can play that style of organ.
Right.
And that's the style of organ that he likes. And that's it. All of that other stuff, like the Carlton Pope and the Joe Wilsons and he can't hear that. He can't hear that at all.
And that's the crazy thing about with Bishop's ear. For him not to play, once he got that groove and got it in his head what he was hearing, it just became undeniable. And Nate was talking about Melvin, which this would be a great segue because it's getting late for us to shift real quick. And just first, we can't do this without paying reference and homage to Bishop Walker for even, you know, just creating this platform with him and Stanley. We gotta thank God for them because it literally took a bunch of kids from Brooklyn, and Bishop said it the other day. He said, Love Fellowship has produced from Brooklyn to the world because all of us have traveled all over the place. All of us have written and produced. I look at what Stanley's doing now. I look at Craig pastoring. I'm pastoring. Gerald got more endorsements. Lauren is running one of the biggest music ministries. Jeff is doing what he's doing. Everybody's doing. Harry got his own studio. And it's just so great, man, that we could come together like this and celebrate each other Reggie got a new project getting ready to come out. All of us are still working. Jules is still writing amazing songs. He got Judah Camp putting out, what he's doing. So we want to really take time to honor Bishop Walker for him just saying yes to God. Because if he didn't say yes to God and him and Stanley not come together, none of us would have been able to accomplish what we accomplished. But I want to take a step back and allow Stanley, Gerald, and Craig and Eddie to really take the lead now, because I want to pay homage before we get off to two of our fallen brothers, which is Melvin Crispell and Jeff Lowe Davis. So, y'all guys, it's on y'all.
Eddie?
Y'all gonna sing?
No. Stanley is in the
Playing
studio,
bass.
so is Eddie. Put me in A flat.
It's a great loss because, like I said, we were all family. I remember the time when we met Jeff. It was me and Gerald. I think Stanley might have been there too. We went to this church in Jersey, and
Heavenly Temple.
yeah,
Heavenly
and
Temple.
this kid was playing, and so Jeff was like, "Play," and the guy kept saying, "Nah." So Jeff went in this back room. It was like a door on the side of the church. Room, pulled out a bass drum with the toms on it, and then came back with a fourth out, and he just went off. And it was just something that just blew our minds, because it was like, dude, he just marinated you. You should have just got up. That was just personality. Jeff was just like, he was always, like you said, wise in his playing and in his, giving us information. He kind of groomed us.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were at the Hawkins convention. I think it was in
Philly.
Washington. And he came up to Stanley. He said, because Joe and all of them were there, he said, and I think, I think I might have been 19, Joe was 15. Stanley was like 16. He's like, yo, y'all better go in there and wax them. He was like, "Oh, for real, Joe? They looking at us like this?" He was like, "Yeah, I want y'all to go in there and wax them." And that's what we did. We just went in there because he was just a part of us. And so, and then like with Melvin, for me, I've known them all before they were born. So I grew up with all of them, and I watched Melvin develop into who he was. And he just had a great gift, and he added to a lot of us. We all learned from each other. The memories will always be there. Melvin was a jokester, so he come around without being like Reggie Parker said. You had to have tough skin with Melvin. Yeah. You out. So just remembering them and their legacy and the things that they did to help us all achieve. It's definitely a big honor to have been with them. That's from my perspective.
Well, I Jeff was my guy. Like the way that I equate Jeff with my life is like, y'all remember this show that used to come on called Kung Fu, and it used to come on TV, and there was a master and there was a student, and to me, that's what Jeff was to me. And what the episode used to always be about was the Kung Fu master would learn. The Kung Fu student would learn from the master, and then he would go out into the world. And actually, when he got in those situations and remember what the master told him and remember what the master showed him, he would overcome those situations and then go back to the master again at the end of the show. And that's what he was to me. He was like the Kung Fu master. And a lot of times it wasn't where we would sit on the drums and he would teach me anything, but it would be a conversation. It would be, we would talk about certain things. And as I would go out and play for different people and do different things, I hear him saying, yo, you playing too much in the verse. Yo, watch your tempo. Yo, stop doing all them chops, or stop, like it all would come back to me. And then I would do what he was saying, and it would work for me. You know what I mean? And that's just who Jeff was. You know, I told a story about him having a local gig, and it was the Hawkins. Like, that was the most amazing, life-changing time for me. You know what I mean? For me to sit there and watch Jeff Davis play for the Hawkins with no rehearsal, with nothing. And he sat down and smashed. Like, he literally smashed. Going back to that story that Eddie told about us being at Edwin Hawkins seminar, I remember that night, Jeff and Monte was there. Jeff and Monte was there. Wow. And I remember them saying, like, yo, man, go in there and drop the Brooklyn, like the New York thing. And, you know, it's weird because that's the first time. It's weird because Eddie said that. That's the first time I ever heard Jeff tell me to, like, just let loose. Like, don't hold nothing back. And it was so crazy because Joel Smith we was in this big ballroom and we started playing, and we was playing I'll Make It. And he came down the center aisle. He walked all the way up the center aisle, past Hez, came to me and got in my ear and said, yo, is that my snare drum you're using? And I was like, nah. And by the time when he turned around to walk back towards the center aisle to go where he came from, I must have played a role. I played a role for like 48 bars. Like I was like, yo, and Jeff and Monte was on the side like, yeah, son, yeah. But what is so funny because after we played and I came out the ballroom, then Joe came over to me and said, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I just want to know if that was, you know, my snare drum. I apologize, whatever. But the thing was, Joe was the type of person, like, he knew you could play. When he knew you could play, he had to kind of be the big man on campus. Right. So he had to kind of, you know, assert his dominance. Like, yo, this little guy coming in here, he sound all right already from the gate. And I got to make sure that people know it's still about me. You know what I mean? At that point. So it was like, but Jeff was like, yo, go. Monte was like, go. And it was like, we just went in there and we did exactly what we had to do. But, you know, I said that to say, I talked to Jeff's mom and I talked to Jeff's sister the other day. And, you know, they're going to do something for him, you know, once everything is lifted. But, you know, yo, it's hard for me, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. The process, all of this, process everything that's happening. But I was just on the phone with Jeff for like a week, like prior to him passing. So, you know, it's still kind of cloudy and still kind of I'm disarrayed, but you know, I love that dude, man. And the crazy thing was Jeff wasn't from Brooklyn. Jeff was from Jersey. Yeah. But he fit right in. Yes. So what he just fit. It's weird because he just fit. And it's like we accepted him. I accepted his iconicness and I didn't even know. It's just like, you know, just the first time I heard him play was like, yo, I ain't never heard nothing like this before. Yeah. Like, this is crazy. I mean, it's just like with Monte. Yo, I never heard nobody play the drums like Monte. You know, like Monte.
Can I ask you a question, Gerald?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Is it true? I heard that's Jeff playing drums on I'm Coming Up on the Rough Side. That's Jeff?
Sure it is.
Are you kidding me?
That's Jeff's playing on, you remember that song, Fire, Shut Up in My Bones, like Jeremiah, won't be. That's Jeff on that.
Wow.
Jeff played for Lou Rawls. Jeff played for Phyllis Hyman. Jeff was the reason why I learned how to play for God. I watched Jeff play for God for 2 weeks straight. And then I knew what to do and what not to do from watching Jeff.
You knew not to follow symbols.
Yeah, like people don't know, like Jeff put me up on Steve Gadd. Steve Gadd played on a New York City Community Choir album. Yeah. Nobody knows that. When I said that to Steve Gadd on the phone a couple of weeks ago, he was like, I did? He don't never know nothing because he said, man, I was on drugs, so I don't know nothing. I can't remember anything. You know what I mean? Crazy. But Jeff to put me on to Steve Gadd through the New York City Community Choir album first.
Wow.
And Steve Gadd played on that record. So like Jeff was a big part of me becoming Gerald Haywood, or me standing outside the crowd, or what I brought to the history of gospel drumming, or the history of gospel period. And like, he's already greatly missed, but at the same time, man, he was trying to teach me how to be a well diverse musician. And a lot of times I didn't listen because I was more prone to the hype. I was more prone to being aggressive, and it's like, yo, these niggas gonna know I can play. That's all I'm saying. When I come in here, the niggas gonna know I can play. They gonna know where I'm from, and they gonna know I can play. And that was my main goal. And Jeff used to be like, man, stop thinking like that, or stop doing that, because when you mature and you grow up and you start playing music and you kind of want to lay back, you can still be aggressive but lay back. He's like, everybody they're gonna be saying you whack. They're gonna be saying you whack because you're not playing like you was playing, or they're gonna say you lost it or whatever. Right. And I was like, man, I do not care. I'm just gonna go in here and let me tell y'all something. I'm going to play drums. And that was my attitude towards everything. But meanwhile, I still had him in my ear saying, nah, don't do it that way. Do it this way. Nah, be careful on that. Don't do it. So like, I've learned so much just from being around Jeff and from him being in my life. Modern Drummer called me the other day and asked, could I say some short words about Jeff? And I was like, nah, I can't. Words about Jeff. That don't exist. He's been in my life for as long as all of you guys have. Like, he's been here. So it's just crazy. And I just want to say, I love him. And with Melvin, man, I watched Melvin not play the organ for 5-6 years, and then just get on the organ, and it's like, oh my God, Melvin could play. Like, Melvin's amazing. But all he did was tape Uncle Butch the whole time. He had a little tape recorder. Every single thing that Uncle played, Melvin would tape it. Melvin had a little crusty organ at his house. He used to sit on that organ and learn note for note, chord for chord, progression for progression, whatever it was, he learned it. And then all of a sudden, when he got on and started playing, it was like, oh Jesus. I don't even know where James Hall came from. I couldn't even tell you. I don't know where Vincent came from. You know what I mean? I remember Stanley playing the organ and around Jeffrey White and them, but I remember when Stanley could only play in G. But that's a whole nother story. Stanley was nice. His key was G. so That's what I did. I just kept being Gerald Haywood out there, and what happened was it mixed in with what was happening out there, and it became a new sound for them too, because they was like, yo, where you come from? What is this? Why? How you playing my music like this? Blah blah blah.
A lot of times, Nate, we had to play parts, and so Gerald had the freedom to kind of liven up the band in a sense, because we had parts. And so because Gerald was able to take what he was doing in church, and because nobody else really brought that sound before Gerald to an actual gig that really had like a swing to it and really had those chops that kind of landed on the one and was able to do rolls. And then, like Gerald would watch Vinny Caluta and the rest of these guys and then figure out how to, him and Craig, we would all be watching those videos. And then we would come back, and then we would go on tour. And then Gerald would be like, yo, I'm going to put that roll right here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to land this. And then because all of us were playing parts, it kind of just landed well because it made everything live. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why he was able to kind of take it. But then as he got older and more mature, and we started playing different levels of music, like when we started playing with Sting and Elton John, things had to change. We couldn't bring Brooklyn to Elton John. Right. We kind of had to like really discipline ourselves and learn different things and genres and start stretching our minds as far as music was concerned. So I think it brought a lot of attention because most drummers from church, I think Gerald was very pivotal in exercising that level of talent, and then all the other drummers that I know to this day, they took those influences, and now every drummer, I'm like, Gerald, see what you started? Now every drummer got a different role, and every drummer land, and nobody wants to play straight no more. And so we have these battles.
As long as you land on the one, though.
Nah. Sometimes you only play nothing and stay on the one, and then we could. But you know, that influence, you know, it helped, but then it hurt. But then, you know, I look at everybody and I marvel at what this particular group of musicians on this chat has influenced so many people. And I see the styles of music. I mean, you just see little versions of what was created from the start. You know what I'm saying? From Stanley on down, as far as that sound. And then Uncle Butch, I used to go to Institutional and sit and watch him and tape him. And he used to, when I play, he would come get a napkin and put it to my mouth and say, spit the gum out. He went with gum. He faded me plenty times. So it was we was like family, you know. And so I think that was the key. And not to cut Gerald off, because I'm gonna let you get back talking, because I really want to hear Stanley and Craig too. I just really wanted to just share that with you, Nate, so that you can understand, like, Gerald, that opened the door for Gerald to be able to create those things. And so we built around that. And so everybody else kind of had to play their part. And it really wasn't no freelancing until, you know, Valdez came along. and then it was like, all right, I'm going to take a space. You can have some, but I'm going to take this. And then we all really started getting aggressive, because it's like, all right, now Joe came, and then we all like playing, and we all try. And then Benjamin Love, then we can't forget about Benjamin Love. Like, we really got to acknowledge the legacy of Benjamin Love, because he was another lover of Jeff Davis. And if you know anything about, and I know Stanley going to say it, but just the influence and all of those things, it's a camaraderie on this thing. It's so much. I learned from every one of y'all on this page. Like, I really have experienced a level of musicianship because of my experience with every person that I played with on this. So I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Craig? Yeah, I just want to say, I was thinking the other day about when we were in DC. I heard that it was like a writer from the paper, and they said that Howard Homecoming, I think Guy was there the same week we was there, Levert, everybody was there, but the writer was like,
Puffy came to that show.
Yeah, Puffy was there because I think he was in charge of like the Black Student Union or something like that. And the writer was like, the group that impressed me the most was this group out of Brooklyn called Love Fellowship. That show was like amazing. If you talk to anybody from the choir that was there, that Howard show, it was like a turning point. It was like one of them times when everything just came together. And what was amazing about Melvin for me was like, we were on big stages, whether it was the Winans or Commission or whoever. We only really had the one song, or what, you know, the first album. So, you know, it was like intimidating to be on those big stages. But it was something about Melvin playing that organ, man. As soon as he would get on the organ and start playing, everything would go just like that. That's why Bishop always had to have that sound. Because, like, no matter whatever else was going on, when we hear that sound, we know we're going to be all right. We feel like we about to wear whoever out, whoever came before us, we about to wear you out. It's because Stanley had this thing that he would do when he would get on the organ, right? And we was getting ready to sing, I don't know why I remember this, but Stanley would go, dun, 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 dun.
I remember that. I remember that, Greg.
You remember that, right?
I remember that. Yes, sir.
And Melvin would do it because he knew that it made us feel like we were back down in the basement at Butte. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It made us feel like no matter what else is going on, Melvin would look at us like, yo, we got it. We got it.
Yeah.
Like, don't even worry about it. We about to kill these dudes. And it used to happen, man. I miss him, man. We used to have so much fun together. Everybody was jokesters. Melvin was a jokester on his own. Gerald was a jokester on his own. You get them two together, forget about it, man. It was crazy, man. And Jeff Davis, I was 17 years old, and Gerald, I'm going to hang out with Gerald one day, and he goes, "Yo, I need you to come with me to Jersey City." I'm like, "What's in Jersey City?" He's like, "I'm going to see the master." I'm like, "The master? Who's the master?" He's like, "Jeff Davis." So we get on the train. We get off at Journal Square. Jeff pick us up. And we supposed to be going to Jeff's house to play drums. We doing everything but playing drums. We go see Prince Sign of the Times. Another time we went to go see School Days. He played basketball. We shot pool. Jeff used to talk a lot about the drums. And that's like, he would help you to understand like the musical. Like he probably was the first person that ever heard say less is more. Because I used to always wonder, and I asked him, I said, "Jeff, how come you don't do the stuff that you really know how to do when I hear the records that you play on?" He said, "Because you really don't need all of that stuff. You only need the one thing." He said, "If you do the one thing that becomes so much a part of the song that you can't imagine the song without it, that's what you want. You want 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. You want that intro. You want something that just becomes so." And that was Jeff, man. He was just like, he was a theoretician in terms of drums and just getting you to understand how the music, how to think about the music, and man, I'll never forget when me and Gerald used to play the drums. Jeff would come stand behind us and he would put his arms like this. He'd tell people like, "Yo, these my little brothers." He would stand with his arms like this behind us and he'd just be rocking like this, man. I'm telling you, that was just like the best time. That was like the best time, man. I will never, ever forget. I talked to Jeff a couple of weeks before he passed away. He called me 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm on my way to work. Man, I wound up being late because me and him was on the phone talking. And he's like, "Yo, what's going on, little bro?" I said, "Man, what's happening with you?" And we wound up talking. I mean, we was talking about everything. I mean, we was just going down memory lane. And he was like, "Man, I love you. I'm proud of you. I see what you're doing now." And so I'm just going to keep both of those guys in my heart. Those guys were, a brother. We are brotherhood. We are brotherhood. Yeah. And no time, space, distance, nothing will ever change that because we all experience something together. It's like going to war with somebody. Only you and that person know what it means to be in those spaces and at that time together. Yeah. And so this brotherhood that we have, man, it'll never go away because we shared an important moment in time in our lives. And I thank God for all of you. Stanley was the first one. I don't even know. My father would never, under normal circumstances, let any of us do something like being a community choir. I was thinking about this the other day. My dad just passed, man, but for some reason, he believed in what Bishop Walker was doing. And when Stanley came and asked, like, could I play and stuff like that, Pops was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so I thank God for it because it changed and impacted my life in a profound way. So thank you, Stan. Thank you, Bishop. And Gerald, forget about it, man. This cat is just like amazing. I had the best seat in the house.
I remember when y'all used to dress alike.
Oh man!
Oh wow, Jules! He playing, Jules.
We was trying to kill him with the Air Force Ones and all the colors.
You know how much money I lost trying to keep up with you and Gerald. I remember when Gerald stayed on Hancock Street. and took me to his house, and he took me in the room.
Everywhere.
He still got that
roof. I was like,
nah,
yo,
this dude was somewhere else with it.
That was ridiculous, man.
Craig, you was crazy too. Stop it.
Yeah,
man.
You go to your house and be like, yo,
listen, man,
it's crazy.
Those was good times, man. Those was good times.
Yo, Stan still on? Stan?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Stan, good.
Yeah, man,
Stan.
background.
Melvin, I think Melvin single-handedly changed the sound of the way people played organ. You know, throughout the country, he did something, and there was a certain era, a period of time. I think Melvin single-handedly is responsible for the way a generation approached the organ. You know how his approach to minors, and his approach to minor transitions and things like that, to me was just phenomenal. I mean, the way he would just transition sometimes from minors to major stuff, and it was just crazy. It was almost like scoring. You know what I mean? But Melvin, like Gerald said, Melvin was a sponge, because I remember Melvin sitting on the side of the organ every single service with a tape recorder. Yeah. And just learning. And you didn't know he played until you knew he played. Yeah. It was just something. But he was definitely a student of the game and was willing to learn, because I watched him watching Uncle Butch just for years. And then when his day came, I mean, Melvin changed. He definitely changed the generation of musicians, in my opinion. And I just think it's important to keep his legacy alive, because his contribution, man, I mean, it's different, man. Melvin's contribution. Yeah. And when it comes to, in regards to Jeff Davis, I don't have a lot to say, because I really have yet to process it, and I don't want to, because I'm not ready yet. You know what I mean? Because 3 days before he passed, he just sent me this long letter. I mean, and I didn't understand, why he was writing, and I saved the letter. One day I'll share it, but I didn't understand it. Now after he passed, I kind of felt like maybe people kind of can sense when transition is close or something like that. Wow. Because it's just really incredible and really heartfelt. But I didn't understand. I was like, yo, everything is good. You in the hospital? Nah, Brown, I'm home. You know what I mean? But it was different. But one thing I gotta say is Jeff wanted to see everybody win.
Yeah.
He just wanted you. He wanted to see you win, but he wanted you to respect the music and have integrity. And one thing about, if you knew Jeff was calling, if you saw his name come up on your phone,
facts,
you had to have time.
Oh yes.
Right? And a Bible.
Oh yeah.
Bible. Yes, sir.
That's right.
Exactly right.
It was going to turn into a Bible discussion one way or the other. But at the end of the day, he was really proud of what we were doing. He was proud of what we established. I'm talking about each and every one of us. Like, Jeff was proud, and you just kind of always felt safe. You always felt like you had somebody who was going to protect you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And he was going to hold you down. So Jeff was just like a protector, for me and for all of us, but he was proud, and he wanted to see us win, and that's just who he was. Yeah. So when the time comes, and like Gerald said, speaking with the family, when we can open up the city, guys, we got to come together, and we got to do something right for them.
And I really want to just, again, I said it at the beginning, I want to say it again. The camaraderie that we share, like, it just means so much. Like, I don't know, that text, Stanley would text me like, yo, Hen, you good? Me and Stanley constantly checking on each other. The different ones we kicking it. But you guys, I think we have to really thank God for the ability that he gave all of us. And I don't know if some of the younger cats know, but Stanley is probably responsible for so much music that people don't even know. And I was thinking about how when I hear you guys, like when I hear a song that Lauren produced, I hear something that Jules produced, I hear something, I get excited like me. That's my brother. And then, especially when they play "Don't Wake Me, I'm Dreaming" and the remix with Craig come on, "Don't wake me up because clean cut dreaming in a deep sleep, my mind is dreaming." Yo, I know the whole round. I'm like, yo,
I forgot
those are
all
my brothers,
about
man.
that. Wow.
It's like, yo, we have really been blessed, guys, to impact generations, man. And I think it's so dope that we all agreed to do this tonight, because sometimes we only see musicians going at each other, never really celebrate each other. But that's why I wanted to do this publicly, because I wanted people to really see the genuineness in our brother, because this ain't no put on. This is what we do off camera, behind camera. Only thing we ain't really do is start snapping on each other like we do. That's because Gerald and Reggie Parker decided to behave tonight.
Jason,
it's still not over yet.
Jason, Donovan and Barry. Can you let them in? Donovan and Barry. Barry.
Y'all like 8 hours late though.
Yeah.
we about to end, so we had to dismissal. So
we're about to get off this thing, guys.
Yo, I'm about to play Reggie's intro.
But what we need to do before we get up, y'all, we got to show the choir some love. So the Love Fellowship Crusade Choir, we love y'all, and thank y'all for being the greatest choir on the earth, man. We love y'all.
Can you change the view? Because everybody's asking. They just see individuals. Can you change the view?
I don't.
He don't know how to do nothing, man.
If I touch this, Eddie, you gonna be mad at me like when I first started playing for the choir.
It's in the top right.
If I touch this thing,
I think he's doing it from his. I think he's doing it from his phone. That's what.
If he do it from his phone, he gonna crash and burn.
Yeah.
From your phone,
he going down if you do it on that phone, son.
Yeah, bro. So
he going down.
Tell your congregation to buy you a desktop, bro.
Bro, I have 3 actually. I have 3. Don't start your mess, Reggie. Don't start.
Hey,
I've
been quiet for an hour, man.
Thank the Lord.
I got some Jeff Leslie jokes I need to tell. I need to get off my chest.
Nope, we not gonna
my
give
bass
the
that
enemy.
Stanley gave me.
Yo, Jeremy Haynes said much respect to everybody. He's
Yo, Jeremy, what's up, boy?
Jeremy Haynes.
What's up, man? But listen, y'all, I know I gotta get up in the morning. I know y'all guys gotta do different things, man. But
what you gotta get up for? You ain't going to church.
I got church,
you gotta preach, bro.
I got virtual church, bro.
Oh man, you can record that and put it on tomorrow, man.
Jay, why you?
Yeah, I am with technology. You really think my church gonna trust me to do that?
Hey man, if they paying their tithes, you can go ahead and just do.
Yo, Jason, my wife said you gotta change your background for your church services, though.
I did that already. Guess what?
Yo, you had the bed and everything in that joint.
Tell her
I'm trying to support you.
Kick me out. My wife kicked me out the house. My wife told me, she said, "Yo,
hey Jason, we didn't let Teddy FX.
Yeah, we didn't. We didn't. Yeah, Teddy
is on there.
And Lindsey Williams is on too.
Lizzie's on.
Lindsey.
I'm about to get Stan Dwight on here.
I'm just loving the history right now.
And Jay, you never talked about why that bandage was on your head on that Morehouse video.
Oh, yeah.
Man, listen.
Let Teddy say something first.
Yeah, Teddy.
Nah, I'm
sorry,
just
Ted. I
loving.
didn't know you was on here, bro.
Now I'm here. Now I'm just loving the history right now. Loving, coming up, growing up, being Nate's cousin. One of the biggest jokes was from Gerald when I first came on. Was that I was Nate's roadie. But you know what? I learned a lot for the fellas. It was fun, man. It was an experience. It was history. So I loved it. It was just great. But the good thing was you had to have tough skin to be in the Love Fellowship.
Tough skin.
If you didn't have tough skin, that's it.
Man, I used to wear you out, Teddy. To wear you out. Oh my God. I don't know how you took you and what's his name? Devin, what's his name? The other keyboardist?
Oh, Devery.
Oh, man. I used to just wear y'all out. I don't know how y'all took that, man. Honestly, you got some thick skin, brother. Yo. Back then, we was like the Chicago Bulls, man. I would talk smack to everybody, and y'all took it. Now, I think that we all, such brothers that we got that type of love. But the jokes was gonna be there. If you was sensitive, you was in
the wrong room. If you was especially with Gerald show up, because he gonna talk about your clothes, he gonna talk about your haircut, he gonna talk about everything.
Yo,
you ain't standing
around the room
like a bum around here.
But I remember, Lauren. I remember
when
we was doing the anniversary. Didn't we have to wear them robes?
Remember them purple joints?
Purple,
with the trimming. I was so upset at Bishop for them outfits, and they was laughing at us because they knew everybody was laughing at us in them outfits. I hated them outfits.
We look terrible, bro. We look terrible.
Yo, I only talk about you if I like you, man.
Well, that's true.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's what it was. I only was saying something.
That's how it is.
You must really love Jules then.
Yo, y'all remember those 410s and the 18-inch woofers I used to carry around?
Yo, Reggie, you should be Hercules with all that equipment you had. So golly.
That speaker was 90 pounds by itself.
Yo, I remember when Reggie first came to Jeffrey White's thing, though. His bass was this big, though.
I knew this was coming.
Played up like this.
That was a ukulele.
They said he played up on his shoulder like this.
Yo, it looked like something that Paul McCartney and them played. It looked like a Rickenbacker or something. It was terrible.
But speaking of Jeff Davis, though, when I first got introduced to Jeff, I'll tell this quick story. Gerald had his appreciation service. To me, that was to this day one of the best appreciation services ever. So Gerald's like, yo, I want you to play America the Beautiful, and then I want you to play any song you want, but Jeff Davis is going to be on the drums. I said, what? Jeff Davis is going to be on the drums? Man, I was nervous as heck. He said, man, just be you, just do you. I said, yo, Jeff Davis is on drums? I said, yo, why you can't play? He said, nah, man, play with Jeff Davis. Yo, I was so nervous. It was standing room only. I don't know how I got through that. That was like the first time, because when I was playing, I was listening to Jeff play behind me. I said, yo, this dude is killing. I mean, just feel that foot and the hi-hat. I said, yo, this is ridiculous, man. I'll never
forget that on tape, man.
Huh?
I wish we had that on tape.
That was at Clinton Allen's church.
Yeah, somebody had the video though.
Yo, Clinton Allen's church. Craig got all the videos of everything. He be saying,
videos. Got videos from his Remember Nate's backyard jams?
Yeah.
Classics.
Yeah. The joints was crazy.
Remember Ron Long?
Ron Long was amazing.
Yeah, bro.
Ron Long was amazing. With that karate gi on.
I remember when Joe
and that perm.
You know who else knew karate though? George Washington, bro.
Yeah, George. Yeah, bro.
He got a church. He
passed
a church in Brooklyn. Yeah, he passed.
Yeah.
Still sharp every time you see him. He's
Yeah,
man.
So Jeff Les, let me ask you a question. Like, what is your mindset now? Like playing with the choir? Like, is it like are you like, I don't know, like, do you feel like you got to change the sound? Like, like what is because first of all, Jules hate drummers, so I know it's hard for you to express yourself.
All drummers are dumb. That's what he said.
We need to go to counseling for that, but
that's a fact.
It's just what he said. Drums be too much, bro.
Lauren know what I'm talking about.
Them drums be too much, bro. Like everybody's going crazy, bro.
Always got something to say.
Go ahead, Jeff, please.
So, what I was going to say is like, my mindset is a lot different and is a lot bigger. So one thing I say I learned from Jules is the music is much bigger than me. So like, let's rewind. Like when I was a new guy playing with Nate, it's like, okay, you know, I'm coming after Jason, but like my style's a little bit different. So I was able to express myself a little bit, and Nate gave me a little bit of wiggle room. Cool, no problem. But going forward to, I guess, the newer sound, Jules like, all right, cool, that's cute, but you know, this is bigger than you. So my mindset automatically. I'm sorry, that's what I'm programmed now.
No, I'm
so
saying
like,
Jules, man. You terrible bad.
it's like it's like being in the stadium. It's like, okay, you can understand this. The average person doesn't understand that, but they could get this 1, 2, 1, 2. They get that. So it's like that translates a lot different. So my mindset is a lot different, more to the bigger picture than me being a drummer.
You know what's so funny? Jules would come to my concerts and he would text me after the concert and be like, yo, you was killing. And all I was doing was the same exact thing I was doing in church. I was playing for Beyonce. I was playing for Mary J. I played for all of them. And Jules was at the concert. Jules was at the concert and I was expressing myself in the same manner. I played like I played in church, but no, I do not.
It was kind of now you know we played a lot of that stuff.
I played a part, but I embellished the part.
Yeah, but it was time we knew you was going to do it.
Everybody can't do that. Everybody can't do what Gerald Haywood do, but they try.
You know what I mean? You need to let up off the drummers, man. You terrible.
Yeah, Jules.
You gotta let up off them, man. You gotta let up off them. Your own son, man. Your own son. You be like, nah, you tell, don't do that. Don't do that.
I see the bigger picture.
What?
I see the bigger picture.
What? All the words you be putting in the song? That's the bigger picture.
They can't hear my words if you want to time.
7 minutes. No, I'm holding time for your words. I'm holding time for the words.
Yo, my songs, I used to ask for Uncle Jeff to play my songs. Uncle Jeff played one of my names.
I know. But it's bad for you to kind of.
What do you mean, Jules?
You smash all of us about playing, and then you only love Uncle Jeff. Like it's like, okay, that's it. Like that's all we get.
I love each and every one of y'all.
Gerald, now
that's
you
crazy.
know it's different, and what you did was a little bit different than what is being done now. It's a little too much smoke. Everybody got too much smoke. It's too much smoke screen. Every time you play, everybody going crazy. It's different because you gotta understand, G. We set you up to be able to do all of that. A lot of that stuff was planned for you to land those spots. Everybody don't. Maybe they didn't know that we really set that up like that, and so it sounded like you was doing a lot. But we planned those things.
Well, check it out.
Don't do that in the verse. Don't do that in the verse, bro. Like,
check this out. Quick
I think
story.
Jules is a placement dude, though.
Listen. Quick story that Craig told me last week that I didn't remember. So when I transitioned and started playing for Guy, you know, I watched Jeff for 2 weeks straight. I didn't go to school. I went to Guy rehearsal 2 weeks straight and watched Jeff play the Guy gig, right? So when Jeff decided he wanted to do Phyllis Hyman and our Guy, but Teddy Riley has said something that was crazy. He was like, yo, I love the way that Jeff played, but I need more. So when I got a chance to get in the seat to play for Guy, that was in the back of my mind. It's like, yo, I'm bringing more with me. Like I'm gonna play your music. Like I'm chopping this stuff up. Like I'm gonna play the part, but I'm gonna be chopping through it. And that kind of made me Gerald Haywood in that sense, in the R&B thing. You know what I mean? Because the way that I went to play it, it was just like, yo, I remember Teddy saying, I like how Jeff played, but I wanted Jeff to play more. Jeff was never going to play more because Jeff is not going to do that. He's going to play it very musical, right? I played it with the
story. You got to tell the whole story because I remember in rehearsals, now, you know, I was there. A lot of rehearsals, Teddy sat behind the drums to show you what he wanted. And so you embellished upon that but it was something that was set. You see what I'm saying? And then he was a sponge. And you kind of took what he did and you embellished it based on what he already liked. So that's the difference in it. Just the drummers you gotta teach that part, because that's the part that's missing. It's things that when they playing with somebody, it's an ingredient that they gotta add to the music to make the music what it's.
Well, I have a theory about, like, when you play for new artists, like, you know, the way that you come in and you play their music, if they like it, it's basically their versions. They have never had a drummer. They don't know, you know, what a drummer's supposed to play or whatever. And once you go in and you kind of put your stamp on something, that's what it becomes. And that started happening everywhere that I played. Exactly. It was like, you know, when I started playing for Silk and SWV and all of these different groups, it was like they kind of didn't know what another drummer should sound like, because I came for how I thought it should sound. So it was very aggressive. It was very over the top a lot of times. And, you know, they just called it, you know, because I said I was from church, they just called it gospel drumming. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, yo, the gospel guy, the dude that's from church, Gerald, you know, the gospel chops. That's what it is. It's chops. It's something he plays over the music. So, like, I don't know, like, it just became a thing. And I just feel like Bishop, I feel like with Bishop, because I was his first drummer, like, he accepted the way that I played it. Like, because it was like with me and Stanley, when me and Stanley was playing together, that's how it just used to be. Like, Stan was playing, it was like me playing with Uncle Butch. So it was like, yo, it's like Stan is aggressive, Stan is playing his style. You know, Stan was the only dude that I knew that would set the organ up and play the percussive part of the organ. Like, you know, my Uncle Butch never did that. My Uncle Butch never, you know, played a chord with this hand and then roll with this hand. Like, that wasn't something. But Stanley came along with that. So as Stanley perfected that, I was perfecting, you know, the foot stuff and all of, you know, being aggressive and going around the toms and all of that different stuff. So it's just like I don't know, man. It was like we was being bred and brought together, and we was kind of, I don't really know how to.
Let me ask you, Gerald, Stanley, and Eddie, a question real quick. When y'all was back then, when I came along, like I said, I would talk smack. You know, we would have fun. Always had jokes. Were you, Stanley, and Eddie? Did y'all talk smack to each other, or were y'all basically just, you know, let's just bang this music out? Did y'all have jokes?
Yeah.
Stanley was the one that started. Boy, you wearing me out.
Sure was.
Like, dude,
what that mean? What did he mean by
Reggie,
that?
You know what's Reggie, you know what's crazy? We used to rehearse by ourselves a whole lot. Like, we used to find places to rehearse. Like, we'd go to Craig's church, any place that we could find, we used to rehearse by ourselves away from the choir. So I remember it was a studio downtown Brooklyn, Willoughby Street or something like that, like near J Street. And I remember, you know, we putting our money together to go in there and rehearse. And that's the time when Stanley said, yo, man, y'all wearing me out, man. Y'all wearing me. We like, what?
What did you mean by that?
You know, but we was wearing them out. We wasn't doing something right. Something was wrong, bro. Something was wrong. So, you know, but that became a saying. Yeah. And yeah.
Eddie would tell people, yo, I'm about to bash you.
Eddie was, oh God.
Eddie would be like, yo, if you do that garbage one more time, I'm about to bash you.
And Eddie could beat you up too, because I was mad young, so I knew I was gonna get it if I did something he told me not to do.
Yo, Lauren, I was so glad when you came, yo, because you know whoever the youngest is, that's who they make get up and take a shower first. So when you came, that became you. I was able to sleep a little bit longer, man.
Yeah, it was rough. I had it rough for a little while.
Oh, I remember they used to give us hotel rooms. We had to share the rooms. whoever the rookie was, I saw him laying on the bed. I was like, bro, get out the bed. That's my bed. Get on that couch, brother.
Yeah.
But I got a question. Who was the youngest to play for the choir? Who got the record for being the youngest playing for the choir?
Yeah.
It's probably me.
That probably had to be Lauren. He's like 15 or something like that.
How old were you, Lauren?
Yeah.
I was 15.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we got fired a year later.
He sure did. We was playing secular music. We decided Bishop sent letters through Nate. He threw us right out.
Yeah,
but
you're no longer
back.
needed. He's like, your services are no longer needed. Bye-bye.
They hurt me.
It's
all Lauren on the road,
look,
son.
you ain't no musician until you get fired, brother.
Yeah.
Have some fire experiences.
Man, I had some.
We don't want to talk about those.
Well, hey, we all got one, brother. It makes you.
We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there, though. We ain't gonna go there. But
the Lord is good.
So Rufus, let me ask you a question. How did you feel having to come behind Reggie Parker? Maybe you guys' styles are a lot different, as far as the way you guys play. How did you feel walking into his shoes, you know what I'm saying, as a bass player, and every song really starts with bass, you know what I'm saying? Since they took over, since Reggie started playing, every song started with bass. So, I mean, how'd you feel when you came in?
Man, it was generally stupid.
I was happy we had some space. I was happy about that. We had some space.
Oh man!
Wow. It was tough. It was tough, man. I feel I was a hybrid of both Young and Parker coming in because I studied both so well. I mean, I had a Smith before I came in. And with Parker, it was a little bit more different because I was fortunate enough to, when I came in, we played on the same record together. That was my first record with Pop Belongs to God. Me and Reg played on that together. So I was able to gel with him. It wasn't like he left and I came. It was just like we formed some sort of bond or whatever. And it made me comfortable going forward. But I think I had a little bit of hybrid of both. It was comfortable playing their records for sure. Yeah.
Yo, you killed Pop Belongs to God, by the way.
Yeah.
That's my favorite record.
Definitely.
Thank you, man. A lot of people thought it was Parker before they knew me. That was my coming out.
Yeah,
that was my coming out record. Man.
I knew you from Leon Lacey.
Oh yeah?
Wow. You remember that?
Leon Lacey, son.
Yeah. Why you got that bass that close to this?
But people don't know. People don't know how I got put on, man. I got put on just playing. My dad used to have a church on Myrtle Avenue, and Jeff actually brought me in. Jeff, y'all wouldn't know me today if it wasn't for Jeff, man. Jeff lived across the street on Myrtle Avenue, and he was doing laundry, bro. And the laundry mat was next to my pop's church. So it was like a summer day, and I would just go to my pop's church and just play with the doors open. The church of the doors were just open. I'm just blasting my bass. Jeff would put his clothes in the wash machine and just came through and was like, "Yo, man, you sound good." And we just started talking, and he invited me to rehearsal. And then history was there. Then Tommy Hammond kind of helped me out, and I played on his record, and that's how that came about. I was playing my dad's church, and Jeff was doing laundry, yo.
Basically, cool. Apostle R.L. Jackson.
Was you nervous? When you did Power Belong to God, was you nervous for that session? That was
you know why? Let me tell you. It was 50-50. You know why I wasn't as nervous? Because back in the day, man, we rehearsed 4 months before a record. Man,
no,
you know
real.
What I'm saying?
For real.
So we was murking that joint for a minute, and plus, Jules wasn't there. It was me, Teddy, Devery, Jeff. We was all boys. You know what I'm saying? So it was like it was smooth, man. Between rehearsing that joint for like 3 months, probably do. You know what I'm saying? From like band rehearsal before choir rehearsal at 7, we getting out of there at 12 midnight. Like,
Well,
if you ain't know the record, you ain't know the record.
We did live in Atlanta. We got out there 4 a.m., brother.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
I
Jeff,
remember them days.
Monique. Right. Worst thing, Nate, was we make end jewels. You know about this. We'll rehearse a dope intro, play it in band rehearsal, get it tight, play it in rehearsal, and Nate has a look at us like, nah, I don't like it. Harsh. The worst.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, but Parker, how'd you feel when I came though? How'd you feel when I came? We was playing on the same record.
Oh, by then, I got married in '98, so by then I was ready to do something else. My wife was like, you've been with them for a long time now. It's time to really do something else. So I was in transition at that point. I was happy to see you because after a while your season ends. It's time to do something else. I think a lot of musicians don't really realize that everything has a season, and you have to realize when your season is up and it's time to do something else. So I was happy to see you. I liked you. You was a real nice guy. You could play. I never had a problem, man. I was happy to see you, bro. I don't think I ever really had a lot of jokes. I owe you some jokes, bro. For being a young bud. But nah, bro, it was cool. I was happy to see you. By then, I was ready.
I left for a check, son.
I don't blame you.
Yo, I hear you, Joe.
I left for a check, son. I seen a check over at the thing. I had to get it.
I left for a check.
I left for a check. I ain't gonna lie, son.
But the great thing about that though is whatever reason you guys shifted, it just created room for somebody else to create a legacy. Because if Gerald never left for that check, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity that I got. And if I didn't get fired, Jeff Leslie got the opportunity that he got.
You're fine, Jason. Tell him.
He ain't talking about that, Jules.
Tell us why you
have
got
no
fired.
church. You wouldn't have no church, right, Jason?
I was, what you think, Gerald?
I said you wouldn't have no church.
None of what I'm doing now, I wouldn't have done because, truth be told, I would have never left Love Fellowship.
See, that's how it was for me.
Yeah, I would have never left.
You know how I left? I was trying to hold on because, like I said, we had sacrificed so much, and I was in Nashville. I need to clear this up too. That focus on Glory album.
Yeah, Doc.
Terrible.
Who did
Eddie
that?
and Nate. Eddie
I
and
didn't have
Nate
nothing to
and
do
that
with
white
that.
boy on drums.
Yo,
We
people don't know. Eddie and Nate are the only ones that really played on that record.
And our names is on it.
All our names is on it.
That was because of me, because they didn't want to do that, and me and Nate went to bat for everybody because we was
Tell
like,
the story. Tell the story, Eddie. Tell the story.
Sanchez. It was Sanchez.
Sanchez Harley.
And Darius Brooks.
Joe was supposed to play. Sanchez didn't like Joe. He came. We were doing something out at Restoration Park or something like that, and he heard Gerald and he didn't like it because Gerald wasn't playing straight. So Gerald was like, "Dude, I'm going to go on tour anyway, so it don't matter." So Joe left. So it was just me, and I think Jason was coming in, and Sanchez was like, "You know what? I don't really want to use none of y'all. I'm just going to use Ed." And I was like, "Nah, you can't do that. You're going to take our sound."
Right.
I convinced them to use Nate because they brought in all of Milton Brunson's guys, right? So then they was like, "Nah, we ain't giving nobody credit." It was like, "Dude, you can't do that." So me and Bishop, we got into it. And I told him, you got to speak up for us. Otherwise, they're going to take away our sound. But, he went on and did it. But, it turned out the way it was. So it wasn't me.
That joint was terrible.
It was the people that, we were.
Yo, I remember they brought the CD cover at the rehearsal. We reading the credits. It was like percussion, this one. This. I said, no, none of us played this. What's going on here? Doc, we was hurt, we was angry, but we hung in there though.
And we rehearsed and played and practiced all that music. And then Darius came in and then, he broke Jules' keyboard. And he was playing
It
just brought that keyboard in. It was brand new, and Darius Brooks broke that joint.
Yo, do you remember when we was rehearsing in the basement and Gerald was on the drums and Sanchez Harley had that yellow pad? He wrote on it, "Can you play pocket?"
Yeah.
And when he went and put that in front of Gerald's face, I said, "Ain't no way in heck I'm playing on this. He don't like Gerald. I'm done."
Hey, wait. That really happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I never heard that story.
That really
Bro,
happened.
that's the night I quit. I said,
Actually,
if they don't like Gerald, I ain't playing.
Fred was
No way.
supposed to produce the album. We had just signed with Benson. Fred was supposed to produce it, but he was working on commission. And they brought in Sanchez. Sanchez was big at that time. We were supposed to record the album at the Apollo. But the Apollo wanted so much money just to use the name. They was like, "Nah, we're gonna take this down to Sanchez's studio." So he, like I said, he came from Nashville. He came out to hear us outside, and he just hated Gerald. He just hated him. Gerald was like,
but you know what? Throughout this country, a lot of musicians always feel that they can embellish the Love Fellowship sound.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's something that they always feel that they can do. Like if you ever hear a crew from the Midwest, like they put all these kind of licks and chops in it, and they don't understand like
simplicity of it.
This Brooklyn bounce. It's the pizza we eat. It's the chicken wings. It's the Arizona iced tea. It's the A train. You know what I mean? It's the whole culture that four on the floor don't feel right unless it's the right person on it.
and that's what that album has some great songs, but it took away our core.
But what we put to it, none of the arrangements, none of the stuff we did, they put on those things. And when I listened to those records, I'm like, people were more mortified when we played it live because they heard us play the record. They didn't know we sounded that way because of the way they produced those records.
Them damn electric drums, I ain't gonna lie.
What was that kid's name, Gerald? Mark Hammond?
But he was
Mark Hammond, right?
He was dope. He's a dope drummer.
Yeah, Mark Hammond,
yeah,
right?
but
That's
he
his
played
name.
them electric drums.
That was in the studio. That's all they used.
Yo, till this day, when people mention Love Fellowship, they don't mention that record.
Yeah.
That's the only record that gets overlooked.
Come right back.
And you had Focus on Glory. You had I've Been Redeemed. You had all those songs.
Jesus is the light of the world.
You do those at the anniversaries. Those are
when we did it on Bobby Jones, people was mortified because that's not what the records sound like.
Yo, Bishop just put up the video and everybody was posting. A couple of us put it up. But Lauren, you was 16, bro. You blazed that organ so bad, cuz.
I only follow Stanley. I only follow all of the people that I learned from. That's
just Dookie, son, with that saxophone.
Yeah, that joint was crazy.
Yeah, that was nuts, man.
That sax is crazy.
And we all just, one thing I learned quickly is you do what you see everybody else do. When in Rome, what the Romans do. When I watched Stanley, I was mortified because nobody never said nothing to him. He played and ripped the church apart, and he was on organ by himself. So I wanted to do that. So when I got with Bishop, I learned Bishop quick. I sounded like Stanley, and Bishop loved it. And he said nothing to me, and he always let me play anytime I come because he knew he was going to have that sound. And the same with Melvin. And that's how we just did what each other, and we loved each other when we was doing it. It was never had no issues. I never had issues with Nate. I never had issues with Stanley. We knew when it was time to get up. We knew. I knew when Stanley walked in, get up. You know, you got to get up because it's just, this is the dude that started it all.
Absolutely.
You got to get marinated and that, but we was good with it.
You was incredible discipline though, Lauren.
Yo, Jay.
Yeah.
Remember when we was late for sound check and you was locked in the bathroom and Nate peed in the sink?
What? Yo, dude.
You bugging right
Yo.
Here we go. Here we go.
That's how I know it's time to
Nate was like, yo, let's go. He was like, yo, let's go. And you was in the bathroom getting your S curl ready.
What are you talking about, Jules?
Yo,
every time I post when Jews tell that story, I cut that part out.
Yo, he's crazy. Jules is really crazy. First of all, I never had no S curl. Okay?
That's a lie. That's a lie. You on Zoom lying.
I got Dominican hair, brother. I don't know what you're talking about.
Jason, I'm not listening to you preach tomorrow.
Lying.
I'm coming to your service tomorrow.
Hey, Joe, you not listening to me because I still didn't get you your sneakers.
Yeah, you terrible. But
I owe Gerald Air Force Ones for like 4 years now.
I'm gonna tell you, you know, the funniest thing was nobody never wanted to talk about this, but you know, Stanley used to play for Guy first before everybody.
That's right.
It's like it's so crazy because Teddy was threatened by Stanley. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. It was that bad. You know, Aaron was like, you know, Stanley, my boy, blah, blah, blah. But nobody knew that Stanley used to play for Guy before everybody. So, you know, Nate played, and, you know, of course, Joe Wilson played, Dinky. They don't know about Dinky.
Yeah, shout out to Dinky.
Yeah, there was this guy named Cody that nobody knew about.
Wow, Cody, that's my guy.
And Arcel too.
Nice.
Arcel too.
Yeah.
Arcel.
Yeah, Arcel. So like it was crazy because Stanley kind of left first. Then I left later. So Stanley kind of went out and was like, you know, kind of touching the water with the whole R&B thing. And then I came along and yeah. I ain't never
Stanley did that record.
And I was right behind you, Gerald. Then we got out of there, kid.
Right.
We got out. I saw the light and I hit the road, Jack.
Then Stanley started running the record labels and all that. It was
Stanley always was a step ahead. He was an executive. We still playing. Hey, like, I just want to be an executive. Like,
he won't say it, but he was chasing after the same check. He seen the same check I seen when I left. Oh, what's that up there, yo? Son, that's a check. I'm going to get it. And I ain't never turned back around. Then Eddie moved to Philly, and it just got, everything just got like misconstrued, and then you know it got misconstrued because, yeah.
That's Gerald, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, good night, Gerald. Good night.
Yeah, but for the record, nobody knows that Stanley was the first to do the R&B thing and go ahead out in the R&B.
He actually tried to get us to do it. He tried to get us. He was doing Salt and Pepper. He was trying, but we were scared.
Yeah.
We did everything together. So Stanley was like, "Yo, man, y'all come. We get ready to get this check."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but the thing about Stanley is Stanley didn't leave to go on no road.
He did.
You know what I mean? Stanley's still getting checks from when he left.
It's a solo from my homeboy Stanley Brown.
Yeah. Jam Master J.
Hello, bro.
So it was really to open up, to get in the industry. So like to figure out how we could expand gospel, because you know when I did get the job at Island Records, right, and we had an opportunity to do the soundtrack because Jay Hinn was on the drums when we did the Don't Give Up thing. It was really to kick the door open to reach back and grab our people. So you know that's when we grabbed Bishop Walker and Down Lawrence and Karen Clark, and you know, and then we brought it back to Brooklyn. You know, Kirk Franklin. We brought it back to Brooklyn. We did the video right at Pilgrim Church. So it was always to just get out there so we can just open up the doors so we can bring it back home and expand what we all were doing. Like when I had the opportunity to do Dreaming, you know, I mean, Christopher Williams, I'm like, if it's going to be a rapper, hey, well, Craig rap, you know what I'm saying? we always kept it amongst our circle. We always kept it in the family.
That was iconic, bro. Iconic.
And here's another thing. Because you did it, we wanted to do it.
Yeah.
People that watched y'all do it, and we saw that you didn't have to be a drug addict or you didn't have to lose who you was in God to play secular music, because that's what we all struggle with. You know, when we was coming up, the church really beat us up. And so when you took that leap, and then you would come back to church and still had an anointing, everybody was like, wait a minute, you know, like ain't nothing wrong, you know. And so, you know, that's how my mother let me travel and go on the road with Gerald. And because I remember I had to get permission. Valdez had to call my mother to get permission for me to go on the road because I was young. I was too young without parental consent. So me being around watching you, it just was a pathway to say, oh, this is what we want to do with our own lives. And so it was instrumental to us, because being in the hood, we kids from the hood.
Yeah.
Our only heroes was those who we knew that were doing stuff that we aspired to do. Yeah. So it transcended from one generation to the next generation. So every piece of groundwork that you laid, it just opened it. You have to understand, it really opened the door for us to take those leaps and to do what we do as well, as far as me and Jules' generation. Because what we were trying to do, what I wanted to do, I didn't want to just be in church because that wasn't gonna make no money. You know what I'm saying? So I knew right away, like, if I'm gonna play with people like Ricky Minor and play with people on that level, you have to level up and you have to be able to do things that you didn't learn. So when I finally got a chance to play when me and Gerald played with Ricky Minor, and we were playing and we learned so much, we were ready, because what we learned growing up and then coming up and then watching and then seeing people on another level, you always had something to aspire to. You know what I'm saying? So I always want to make sure that I put that out there on my end, because we can't never forget who we watched.
Oh yeah,
where we are.
But you know, the flip side to that is, you know, cats, you know, that left got to a certain place. But Bishop always used to tell me personally, you know, because a lot of people left with the claim that I'm going to chase the money. And Bishop would tell me, yo, there's money in the kingdom. You know what I mean? There's money in the kingdom. And I had an example of money in the kingdom with Nate McNair.
Wow.
Because Nate made twice as much as we did, even though it wasn't a whole bunch
every day.
But the thing about it is, I had something to look forward to. Nate always had a fresh ride or two. You know what I'm saying? But then when I started seeing publishing checks from the kingdom without leaving,
that's dope.
And right now, everybody who's on the road is suffering.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nothing coming. You know what I mean? And I thank God every day that a brother could sit in his crib and money is being made. You know what I'm saying? And Bishop is the one that said, yo, I am telling you, Jews, that there is money in the kingdom, but you can't let money be the reason why you're in the kingdom. You know what I'm saying?
Well, circumstances was different for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Jews, you had a different foundation. You know, you had a family. Like for me, I only had my mom's. So I had to become a provider and I had to figure it out. And me sitting in church waiting for somebody to throw me $60, no disrespect. Right. I couldn't afford that. You know what I'm saying? In my lifetime. So I had to get it quick. And then when I learned how to produce, Gerald will tell you, I left the road because I sold millions of records. But I who did I watch? I watched the people that I looked up to do it.
Yeah, but see, the point that the reason why I made sure I made that clear is because there are people that are looking at us, and the mindset of this younger generation.
Yeah, definitely.
I gotta leave church to get the bag. Yeah. And that's the dumbest thing that I could ever encourage anybody to feel like. Yeah. What's from the heart is going to reach the heart. And if you can reach the heart, you can get paid.
That's good.
And not only that,
it got to be authentic. It got to be authentic. It got to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like there are a lot of people. That's why I don't like drummers, because y'all they trying to be Gerald and y'all ain't Gerald. It don't sound like Gerald. It don't feel like Gerald. There's already a Gerald here. We need you to play this music. You know what I'm saying? And what's from the heart reaches the heart. You got to do what is 100%. Nate had a strong R&B swagger, but he brought it to the kingdom.
Right.
99 and a half could almost, like, come on, bro. Like, there is money in the kingdom, and a lot of these kids are out here trying to play the kingdom like it's not a place of provision. I mean, and most of us is back in church.
Well, not only that, Jules, I think I gotta tip my hat to Stanley, because Stanley told me something 20 years ago. He said, yo, Jay, you have to learn how to reinvent yourself. Because you know what else happens a lot of times? A lot of people get stuck in one lane, and in music, period. You don't have to be a tour musician. You can become a songwriter. Because when I got my first publishing check, I couldn't believe that. I was like, yo, I'm never playing drums again. Ever. You know what I'm saying? And then it transitioned from that to me writing and getting more placements, and then writing books, and now pastoring. So I think I always attribute that to something Stanley, a conversation me and Stanley had. He said, yo, don't ever get stuck. You gotta learn how to reinvent yourself. And I think if all the younger guys really took that message and didn't stay stuck, because that, thank God, none of us have. All of us are doing different things now. We got multiple streams of income. You know, some are executives, pastors, and business owners. Got property, into stocks, all that. So none of us are just depending on one stream of income anymore. And I think that's the most important message that we could put out to any young guy, any young lady that's watching this. Diversify your portfolio. Get into other things outside, because I always wanted to be in a position where I could come to church and do what I do for free, because I never wanted money to be attached to it as my motive. You know what I'm saying? If it comes with it, that's great. But to be in a position now where I can go preach at a church and know that that church is struggling, and tell them, y'all keep everything I raise. Y'all hold that, because I'm not dependent on that anymore. God has blessed all of us to the point where we now have a broader vision. And I think that's the thing that we need to really get out to, man, that please don't stay stuck. Reinvent yourself. Start doing other things. Open up a music school. Become a boss. Create residual income for yourself so you can do something one time and get paid for it the rest of your life. And that's the message I learned. So big up to Stan for teaching me that 20 years ago, man. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. That's good. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
Real
man.
good stuff. That's how I am now with the endorsement thing. Like, you know, I am at a different place where now, you know, I am into getting royalties off of pieces of equipment.
Bro.
That's crazy.
And like, so now, you know, Like I'm trying to show the younger generation, like, yo, we don't go to NAM to get endorsements anymore. We go to NAM to try to get percentages off of something sold that we are basically selling.
Wow.
So now the space that I'm in, you know, I am trying to basically push that on everybody. Like I look at drumming now like how is the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, you know, LeBron James gets $90 million for signing with Nike. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to give me X amount of dollars or some type of points to sign with DW or to sign with Zildjian or to sign, because really we are selling the product. The product, we are pushing the product. We are the face of the product. And I feel like, you know, at some point it has to go in that direction and not just what I started as far as, yo, I got an endorsement. Ricky Lawson taught me about the endorsement game. But now I feel like it needs to go a different way. It needs to go a way where we are getting paid for the product or have some type of connection to the product in the file cabinet, in the black and white.
Or you could take it further and create a product.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, for instance, what you don't want to do is you don't want to have a signature in it. And the reason why you don't want to have a signature in anything is because if they just say, okay, this drum set is Gerald Haywood's signature drum set, right? What is going to happen is a white boy comes in the store, see the drum set, and like, oh yeah, I like Gerald Haywood, it's cool, but I play rock music. He don't play rock music. He play R&B, gospel, hip hop, right? He's like, yo, I would buy that, but the reason why I'm not buying it is because because Gerald Haywood plays R&B and I play rock. So it kind of puts that particular piece in a box, whereas it's not being sold to every consumer. So what you don't want to do is you want to just put a product out, and back at the office, your name is on the paperwork saying that you get X amount of dollars off of every product sold of that particular piece.
Why can't you do both?
But you don't want to connect yourself to it, to the public. You don't want to connect yourself to it. You don't want to have it named after you or nothing.
Why can't you do both? Because I feel that if you have a signature, I'm very big on legacy. I'm very big on what you leave when you die. You know what I'm saying? When you die, bro, everybody's gonna know that I'll make it was you for the rest for eternity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You gotta leave your mark. I'm not really one to be an in the back superstar, because at the end of the day, you know, it's just like when Kirk Franklin come to town, Kieja could go right to the stadium and be like, oh yeah, my name is Kieja Walker. Why? Because her father has a legacy. You know what I'm saying? So I think about that Gerald Haywood brand, even though it may not hit the rock drummer, there are a million black drummers that's gonna buy that.
Well, I think,
but I'm saying it's two ways you could go about it. It's two ways you can go about it. You saying if I'm caring about my legacy being carried, or if I'm caring about numbers. I'm saying if you're going at it from a numbers standpoint, you want to not put your name on it like that. You want to put your name on it in the file cabinet. You don't want to put your name on it only because I don't want to box whatever it is that I'm trying to sell. I don't want to box it. Now, if you are into your legacy, like you're saying, you know, like you're saying, you can do two. You can do one where it don't matter. And then, where it matters, but it matters in a different way. It matters that the fact that I'm trying to preserve my legacy through this piece.
Yeah. I get what Joe's saying.
Why can't you create your own and then allow them to distribute your legacy?
You can do that, but most of the times is the companies are so big and so known already. Like for instance, like Roland like the reason why I got signed with Roland was because I met the owner of Roland in Japan.
Yeah, I'll lock up everything. Don't worry about
it. He came to a Destiny's Child show and he signed us there, right? He came to a sound check and signed us, right? So what I'm saying is it's like it's kind of weird because Roland don't need nobody. So their attitude is that they don't really need you. So because they're already known, they're already big, and really you kind of don't matter. So they take that approach. So that approach that they're giving to you is that you here, you selling some stuff, but if you wasn't here, it's okay. So that their attitude towards you is like that. So when you make up something and you try to bring it to them, most of the companies are already like, nah, I'm good on that. Like you know what I mean?
Your name is so established. Isn't there somebody that maybe other, it's for instance, when we did I'll Make It and Oh Lord We Praise You, we was with a label that didn't have no distribution.
Right.
The album, right? But what happened was that album got us a better deal. But we should go back and get those masters from those first two albums.
Right.
Because that's where our legacy started.
Right.
And that's what I feel like you should just go ahead, find somebody that's willing to take the chance in your legacy, create your own, and have those big companies.
And then it's like what you saying. You didn't want to leave the choir because you built it. You was there from day one, and you just didn't want to just hand it off to anybody, right? I've been with DW for 25 years. 25 years. I got 25 years in this company. So it's like, and then most of the other companies, I got 15 going on 20 years with those companies. So it's kind of hard to, these companies that's been running all my life, you know what I mean? They just have a different like go ahead about it. It's kind of weird. And then I don't want to work and I got everything to this point, and then like when I walk away, the next man gonna come in and he gonna get that piece that's gonna be put out for him, his legacy, and all of that.
Gee, remember when you used to take all your old cymbals, and put them together, and they used to sound almost like a Little John 808, like
clap,
like a clap, right? Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, what if you made something like that nobody had? You patent it, and it don't matter if it's Zildjian, DW, Sabian, whatever it is, that is your creation.
Yeah, but how they win is they made the symbols that I used to make it. So like, the symbols that I used to make that sound or to make that creation, they made it.
So you can't find a company that can match. It's like you find these little companies that can make an iPhone.
Yeah.
It might not be an iPhone.
His own symbol.
Right. You go with somebody that can create it, and they're willing to invest in your vision. And then you go ahead and get it patent, like Drew said, and then you go to them and say, "Look, I need y'all to distribute this."
I did that before. I made a snare drum. I made a snare drum called an Edge snare drum. And what the Edge snare drum was, I made it acrylic, metal, and wood. And the edges you can change in the metal or the wood, right? I brought it to DW. I did it on my video. I brought it to DW, everything. And what happened was there's patents on certain things. So Yamaha had a patent on a DW drum saying that you can't put 3 different materials on a drum because the drum that I created from was an Edge snare drum, and Yamaha, when that came out, that kind of changed the game. They're like, oh my God. So then what they did was to counterpoint that, they had, rules that you can't put 3 materials on a snare drum. And my drum didn't come out because of that rule that they had in place. So it's just a lot of little different things that you got to do. But
for instance, all of those colored heads that you guys see that Remo make now, I came up with that. So I am in place to I'm going to receive from all over the world 2% royalty off of every one sold. But what I did was I took something that they already was doing and I enhanced it. So it's a totally different thing. If I would have made up the head period, then that would have been something totally different.
A whole nother ballpark.
A whole nother ballpark. So
you talking about like the red head that we use on
every
the
color.
Oh, I love that joint. Yeah.
So every color is connected to me in the file cabinet. You see what I'm saying? It ain't, and it don't say Gerald Haywood, color G, whatever. It don't say none of that. But so all around the world, people are gonna buy it, not knowing that in a file cabinet, the check is coming to the place.
Because sometimes when you have a product, and like I remember I had a situation with the first book that I wrote. It was a topic that nobody else in the marketplace had covered, but because I was a young African American male and I put my face on the cover, it limited the people that would buy it, because people's perception sometimes gets blocked when they see the color of your skin. So we can't. So I get what Gerald is saying. You catch more people when it's a mystery in some cases, because if they see a black guy as the face of a brand, some people you will lose sales in some instances. So I totally get what you're saying, Gerald.
But
totally.
it depends on who you are. Look at the Marcus Miller base.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Dude. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But that's why I said, me being young and unknown,
that wasn't his first though.
Right.
Yeah, but Gerald is one of the most popular drummers in the world. So a Gerald Haywood anything, I know my son will be there bugging me to buy it off of American Musical immediately. You know what I mean? Because everybody loves Gerald Haywood.
But I think Gerald is talking about tapping into that market that doesn't know.
Yeah. Just to I feel like I asked DW for stock the last time I had an anniversary with them. And it's like, yo, I don't want no money. I got so much drums, I don't have no place to put it. Right? I was like, yo, man, I want some stock. I want some stock in this company. I want some, like, I'm looking at it from a different angle. And I want everybody to start looking at it from a different angle, because if you think about it, we have some LeBrons, we have some Kobe Bryants, we have some of those as musicians, and their impact with that certain instrument that they're using, it keeps putting the companies higher and higher and better in a better position. And all it does is for us is we get free gear. Like, we got to start thinking from a different angle now. We got to start thinking from a money standpoint. Like, we need to be just in the file cabinet. Our name need to be on some documents for receiving money. You know what I mean? So as we hear and we talking and we kind of converse and trying to make everything cool, I feel like I have to tell everybody that, we got to look at it from a different angle now. It ain't just, it's got to be like the LeBron. We got to look at it from LeBron's angle. Michael Jordan has made $1 billion off his sneakers. You know what I mean?
He put his name on it.
Right. I know he put his name on it, but what you got to think about, Jules, is what he did was he went totally against the grain. But you just got to get an angle. You got to get an angle. Like you came in the choir as a choir member. You got your angle. I love playing the drums. The drums is my life. So why not try to figure out something another way? When I go on tour and I get a weekly check, that's cool. But when I'm on tour, I try to figure out how to make more money as I'm on tour. So that's when I came up with the whole thing of me renting my drums to the artists that I'm playing for. So I'm getting rental money plus my check. So you just got to figure out other ways to tap into what it is that you love and that you're doing to make it lucrative on a